Hey friends, hope you're all doing well. We're doing okay too, just really tired since we've been working non-stop. We wanted to answer a question many of you ask: how does our publishing process work? Most of our audiobooks are first posted on Patreon as paid content. They stay behind a paywall for a few months. After that, they become free to access on Patreon forever. Then, a few weeks later, we upload them to other platforms like YouTube, Facebook, and Twitter, X. Lately, our community hasn't been growing much, and we could really use your help. Please share our site in your Facebook groups, Discord servers, Reddit threads, Twitter, X, or with any friends who might be interested. Every little bit helps and we really appreciate it. Thanks a lot for being with us and supporting what we do. Chapter 1: Expelled from the sect. Nanming Domain, Kinyuan Sword Sect. July. The summer heat was scorching, the sun directly overhead. It had just passed noon, and the sun was at its most venomous. Lin Jing was slowly pushing a cart along the dirt road beside the fields. The cart was loaded with several bulging sacks that seemed quite heavy, making the cart creak under the weight. Soon, when he passed under some shade, Lin Jing stopped. He wiped the sweat from his forehead and then took out a gourd hanging from his waist, opened the stopper, and began to drink heartily. He downed more than half the gourd in one breath before reluctantly putting the water bottle away. He dared not drink it all in one go, as there was still a long way to go. After drinking, Lin Jing sat on the edge of the cart to rest. The intense heat of summer made even the breeze feel warm, only under the shade of the trees could one find a hint of coolness. Looking up, the field in front of him was a golden sea, the spirit rice was ripe and would be ready for harvest in a few days. Looking at the scene before him, Lin Jing felt slightly dazed and couldn't help but think back to his childhood days on Blue Star. His hometown had looked just like this, where he used to play in the fields with his friends and work alongside his grandparents. Thinking back, life then had been so nostalgic. But everyone has to grow up. Later on, as his studies and responsibilities grew, he became busier, just like everyone else. Schooling, exams, graduation, jobs. Until the burdens of life were suffocating, he gradually forgot that small village where he had spent the happiest times of his life. However, a sudden car accident brought him to this world. Initially, besides being a bit stunned, he was quite excited. The world of cultivation, flying with swords. In his previous life, he had read a lot about it in novels. But once he actually arrived here, he realized that the world of cultivation was not as wonderful as he had imagined. In this martial-oriented world of cultivation, being weak was a sin. Especially when he had first arrived, his cultivation was only at the chi refinement first level. With both parents dead and no one to rely on, if not for the protection of his identity as a spirit farmer of the Kinyuan Sword Sect, he might have already been dead. Can't go back now. Lin Jing couldn't help but lament. At this moment, a voice came from behind. Yo. Isn't that Brother Lin? Brother Lin, why are you sitting here alone? Could it be that the spirit rice you owe this year is insufficient? Afraid to meet Steward Li? Lin Jing turned around and saw a young man about 23 or 24 sitting on a cattle cart, looking in his direction with undisguised contempt. Yuan Bo. Lin Jing's expression remained calm. That seems to be none of your business. The young man named Yuan Bo did not get angry, but instead spoke leisurely. It seems someone is going to be expelled from Kinyuan Sword Sect. The mockery was clear and unabashedly displayed. The cattle cart slowly moved on, and when passing by Lin Jing, Yuan Bo sneered coldly, I hope you can be this tough when you see Steward Li. Then he continued on the road ahead, not even looking back. Yuan Bo was actually his neighbor, and due to reasons concerning their parents, the two had always been on bad terms, even hostile, which is why they acted this way upon meeting. Lin Jing looked at the ox cart ahead. Its sacks were at least double those on his cart. Looking back at the sacks on his own cart, this was all the spirit rice he had to pay to the Kinyuan Sword Sect for the year. However, it was far from enough because just before the harvest, someone had destroyed half of his spirit field. Lin Jing had reason to suspect that Yuan Bo was behind this, because he had appeared at the scene first after the incident. But he had no evidence, even calling upon Steward Li to investigate had yielded no results, and in the end, the issue was dropped. Without any outcome, naturally, the responsibility fell on him. If the spirit rice was insufficient, he was likely to be expelled from the Kinyuan Sword Sect. But for now, he could only take it one step at a time. He would first submit the spirit rice and then see what the steward would decide. After resting sufficiently, Lin Jing continued on his way. Only about an hour later did Lin Jing arrive at Spirit Farmer Village, where only those who cultivated superior spirit fields were eligible to reside. And he, among those who cultivated low-grade spirit fields, could only live in thatched cottages by the fields. At this moment, in front of a large courtyard with blue brick and black tiles in the village, many spirit farmers, some pushing carts and others driving ox carts, lined up, waiting to enter the yard to submit their spirit rice. This courtyard is the residence of the steward. Lin Jing glanced at the long queue, noting that these people had considerably more spirit rice than he had on his cart. Seeing the scant amount of spirit rice on Lin Jing's cart, some nearby onlookers cast surprised glances. People began to whisper, busy all year and harvested so little spirit rice? He must have been slacking off. Indeed. That's nowhere near enough to meet the quota, he's bound to be punished. At this moment, Yuan Bo, who was ahead in line, spoke up in defense. I know he hasn't been lazy. Not lazy? How could he have so little spirit rice if he wasn't lazy? He must have encountered a disaster. He was doing well, but just as the spirit rice was about to mature, someone destroyed half of his spirit field, completely washing away a year's worth of labor. I'm not far from his spirit field, even went to take a look myself. That scene. TSK. Truly dreadful. Someone tampered with the spirit field, and Steward Lee didn't know about this. He manages this whole area, so of course he knew. He went to investigate the day it happened, but I heard he hasn't found any leads even now. Now, with so little spirit rice, he's not meeting the quota, he's likely to take the blame. Indeed. If nothing unexpected happens, he's probably going to be expelled from the sect. As these words were spoken, the tone of voice raised slightly, causing the crowd around to look towards Lin Jing. After Yuan Bo finished, he provocatively glanced at Lin Jing. Many nearby heard the conversation and couldn't help but sigh. What a pity. Once out of the sect, where could he find such good conditions? So careless. What the fellow Taoist said is true, Yuan Bo agreed. Once out of the sect, such good conditions are hard to come by. Having said that, he just stared at Lin Jing, his schadenfreude glaringly evident. Ignoring Yuan Bo's provocation, Lin Jing silently moved to the end of the line, waiting to offer his spirit rice, as well as for the final outcome of the event. The line moved quickly, and in just half an hour, it was Lin Jing's turn. Entering the courtyard, he immediately felt refreshed. The spiritual energy here was much denser than outside, indicating the presence of a minor gathering spirit formation. Lin Jing looked ahead. Steward Lee was standing there, smiling, talking to a young man next to him. From the young man's attire, he appeared to be the inner sect disciple assigned by the sect to supervise the spirit rice offering this time. Looking at the young man's age, he seemed to be around 30 years old. An inner sect disciple of the Kinyu Sword sect required at least the cultivation of the foundation establishment stage, and this young man, so young, already being an inner sect disciple, surely had exceptional cultivation talent. In contrast, the steward Lee next to him was already over 50 years old, yet only had the cultivation of chi refinement level 5. People always say the gap between individuals is greater than that between a person and a dog. Since coming here, Lin Jing has truly realized this. However, compared to Lin Jing, calling Steward Lee a genius wouldn't be an overstatement. Because Lin Jing's spiritual root was considered a useless 5 elements mixed spirit root. His previous ability to reach the first level of chi refinement was due only to over a decade of relentless cultivation and the help of his father, just barely managing it. If it were someone else with this type of spiritual root, they might have given up on cultivation long ago and honestly lived as a mortal. Pushing the cart over to the weighing area, Lin Jing unloaded the spirit rice, and someone immediately came over with a sack to start weighing. 530 jin, not up to standard. Steward Lee heard the announcement, his brows furrowed, and he turned his head towards this side. Upon seeing it was Lin Jing, his furrowed brow eased slightly, but his expression remained grave. It's you, Steward Lee started saying, I've looked into the matter. It was outsiders, vagrants from beyond the mountains, I have already executed them by law. However, at this point, Steward Lee became serious. Because of your negligence, the spirit field was destroyed. You can't escape blame for this. I have reported this matter to the sect. The sect has decided. Effective immediately, you are expelled from the Kinyu Sword sect. Chapter 2 Senior Han, do you have any doubts about this? Lin Jing had anticipated this result, so he didn't speak in his defense. No, I abide by the sect's decision, Lin Jing said with a clasped hand. Steward Lee nodded, waved his hand, and said, go back and pack your belongings. You will leave the mountain tomorrow. Lin Jing clasped his hand. Steward Lee, I take my leave. After speaking, he prepared to leave. Hold on. Just then, a voice called out. Lin Jing looked up and saw the inner sect disciple who was in charge of supervising the collection of spirit rice speaking up. Steward Lee looked at him in surprise, not knowing why he would suddenly speak up at this moment, and quickly reminded him, Senior Han, he has been expelled from the sect. This is the decision of the sect elders, the matter is settled, and you mustn't be confused. The inner sect disciple's expression was indifferent as he said to Steward Lee, Junior Brother Lee, you worry too much. Then, he turned his head and stared at Lin Jing as if scrutinizing him carefully. Lin Jing felt somewhat uncomfortable under his gaze, and upon reflection, he realized that he didn't know Senior Han and wondered why the latter was staring at him like this. After a long while, Senior Han finally asked, "Your name is Lin Jing?" Lin Jing answered with a clasped hand, "Yes, senior brother." Lin Jing's former status was that of a spirit farmer, but he was also a menial disciple of Kinyuan sword sect, so addressing the inner sect disciple as senior brother was not inappropriate. Although he had been expelled from Kinyuan sword sect, there was no better address available to him at the moment, so he chose to continue calling him senior brother. Senior Han didn't object and continued to ask, "Do you recognize Lin Yu?" Lin Jing was taken aback for a moment before hurriedly replying, "Senior brother, Lin Yu is indeed my father." Senior Han nodded, then said, "There are often demonic beasts on the mountain road, which is very dangerous. Coincidentally, I need to go down the mountain tomorrow. Come here early tomorrow morning, and you can descend the mountain with me." Steward Lee heard this and quickly tried to dissuade him, "Senior Han, this person is just a disciple who has been expelled from the sect. Just letting him go down the mountain is enough. Why should you, Senior Han, bother to personally escort him?" Senior Han looked at Lin Jing and said softly, "I had an old acquaintance with his father. As the son of an old friend, I naturally can't allow him to come to harm under my watch. So that's how it is, Senior Han truly values friendship and loyalty." Steward Lee said with a smile, "Why should Senior Han trouble himself over this matter? In that case, I will escort him down the mountain myself tomorrow. I know some people in the Fang market at the foot of the mountain who can help him find lodging and, incidentally, find him some work. This way, Senior Han's friendship can be fully honored. Wouldn't that be wonderful?" Senior Han didn't reply after hearing this but instead turned his head, his gaze burning as he stared intensely at Steward Lee. Steward Lee felt very uncomfortable under his gaze and let out a forced laugh twice before saying, "Senior Han, is there something wrong?" Only at this point did Senior Han speak, "Junior brother Lee, you work so hard, no need to trouble yourself. The demonic beasts at the foot of the mountain are fierce, and I'm afraid you wouldn't be able to fend them off. I don't want my old friend's son to meet with any mishap. Junior brother Lee. Do you understand?" Seeing Senior Han's intense gaze, Steward Lee's eyes flashed with a hint of panic, which he quickly concealed. He then clasped his fists towards Senior Han and said, "I admire the depth of feeling from Senior Han." After speaking, Steward Lee turned to Lin Jing and said, "Lin Jing, tomorrow Senior Han will take you down the mountain, won't you thank Senior Han?" "Thank you, Senior Han." Although Lin Jing didn't understand why Senior Han was acting this way, he still clasped his hands and thanked Senior Han. "Remember to come here early tomorrow morning, I will be waiting for you here." "Don't be late, Senior Han, rest assured," Lin Jing replied. After that, Lin Jing greeted Senior Han and Steward Lee, then pulled his cart and left. By the time he returned to his dwelling, it was already pitch dark, and Lin Jing had no desire to cook. He simply ate some dry food to fend off the hunger. By the dim light of the moon, he surveyed the thatched cottage he had lived in for a year. He was leaving tomorrow, and he felt a bit reluctant to part with it. After all, it was the first home he had in this world after transmigrating, even though he was the only one there. The original owner's mother had passed away early, and his father had also died a year ago, leaving not much behind. In no time at all, Lin Jing had finished packing up his things. Once everything was packed up, Lin Jing sat cross-legged on his bed and started to reflect on the day's events. As for the story about the refugees from beyond the mountains that Steward Lee had mentioned, Lin Jing naturally didn't believe it. This was the Kinyuan sword sect, after all. Not just refugees from beyond the mountains, but even cultivators from outside wouldn't dare to cause trouble here. Looking at it this way, Lin Jing could only think of one possibility: the destruction of the spirit field was very likely related to Steward Lee. Listening to the conversation between Senior Han and Steward Lee today, it seems there's more to the story, Lin Jing mused to himself. Could it be that Steward Lee is trying to target me? If the destruction of the spirit field was indeed caused by Steward Lee, then what is his purpose? Is it just to drive me away from the mountain? Or does he intend to kill me on my way down? Lin Jing felt that he was getting close to the truth of the matter. I haven't had any conflicts with him, though. And as for wealth, that's even more impossible. I'm so poor that I'm practically clinking from emptiness. I only have 2 lower-grade spirit stones to my name, which makes me one of the poorest among the spirit farmers. This was the most baffling aspect for Lin Jing. And as for Senior Han, Lin Jing could feel that he bore no malice towards him. Senior Han should be a trustworthy person. As for being expelled from the sect, Lin Jing didn't care at all. He even felt a bit of secret joy about it. Because the status of being a spirit farmer in the Kinyuan sword sect wasn't free at all, not even allowed to leave the mountain, nor could he get in touch with other cultivation resources. With his talents, If he continued to stay here, he probably wouldn't be able to turn his life around for the rest of his days. As a transmigrator, how could he be content to remain a spirit farmer? Of course, he was not content, so leaving the Kinyu and Sword sect was also part of his plan. It had just happened a bit earlier than expected. After all, he was a man who had a system. Though his system couldn't directly enhance his combat abilities, it could ensure he wouldn't have to worry about food and clothing. Whenever Lin Jing thought about this system, he wanted to complain. But upon closer thought, being able to live another life was probably a sign that his ancestors' graves were billowing with green smoke. He should be content with what he has. What more could he want? Right now, improving my strength is the most important thing. Let's not think about it anymore. I'm just one step away from reaching the second level of chi refinement. If nothing goes wrong, I should be able to break through to the second level tonight, Lin Jing thought. After that, Lin Jing began to meditate seriously. The spiritual energy here was much thinner than in Steward Li's courtyard. Lin Jing meditated for a long time before he could feel a bit of spiritual energy slowly entering his body and then beginning to circulate through his meridians. He continued to meditate until late into the night, past the middle of Z time, when a voice rang out in Lin Jing's mind. System space-time refresh, entering remaining time, 2 hours. Lin Jing suddenly opened his eyes, the corners of his mouth turned up into a smile. I've been waiting for you. Chapter 3 System Space. Enter System Space. Lin Jing silently chanted in his heart. Soon after, his vision began to blur, and his body seemed to be enveloped by something. Moments later, when Lin Jing opened his eyes again, he had arrived inside System Space. Master, welcome back. A mechanical voice devoid of any emotion sounded, as if it were right by his ear. System, display the panel. Very well, Master. As soon as Lin Jing finished speaking, a projection appeared before him. System Space, Level 1, remaining time, 1 hour 59 minutes. Host, Lin Jing Spirit Field Range, 10 mu Spiritual Energy Density, 1 Flow of Time Speed, 1 Daily Access Time, 2 hours. Upgrade Requirements, 0 out of 100 Harvest Points. Special Functions, Alert, when the host enters System Space, the system will encompass the area surrounding the host in reality within the alert range and will notify the host of any emergencies. Observation Mode, the host can observe the real world from within the system space. Note, during observation mode, the host's perspective will synchronize with the external world's time. Lin Jing reached out and tapped on his name on the panel, and his information immediately appeared before his eyes. Lin Jing, 23 out of 90, Spiritual Root, 5 Elements Mixed Spirit Root, Low Grade, Cultivation, Chi Refinement Level 1, 99%, Cultivation Technique, Kinyu and Dao Method, Level 1, Kinyu and Sword Control Technique, Beginner, Sub-Occupation, None as expected, it's already at 99%. Seeing the cultivation level, Lin Jing smiled knowingly. After such a long time of cultivation, he was finally about to break through. Chi Refinement Level 1, the first threshold of cultivation, might be nothing to others. But for someone with a low-grade 5 elements mixed spiritual root like him, it was like an insurmountable chasm. That was the case with his predecessor. He had started cultivating at a young age, with his father's guidance, yet despite this, he had been stuck at Chi Refinement Level 1 for many years. With such aptitude, no sect would take him in. Fortunately, his predecessor's father had once made contributions to the Kinyu and Sword sect, which was why he was exceptionally accepted. However, he was now finally about to step over this threshold, and to say he wasn't excited would be a lie. Who wouldn't feel exhilarated at the moment of nearing a long-awaited success? Especially since Lin Jing inherited his predecessor's memories and had deep grudges about this. He took a deep breath, and rich spiritual energy immediately rushed at his face. The density of spiritual energy in system space, although not as high as in Steward Li's courtyard, was very close. Cultivating here was much faster than outside. The only downside was that the time he could spend in system space each day was limited to 1 hour, which amounted to 2 hours of time. Therefore, every time Lin Jing came in, he did not dare to waste a single moment, either planting spirit rice or meditating for cultivation. In the system space, there were 10 mu of spirit fields, and the harvest points needed to upgrade the space were gained by planting crops and harvesting them when they matured. The patches of golden spirit rice in front of Lin Jing were what he planted previously, and the earliest ones were now nearing maturity. Lin Jing skillfully summoned the panel, which clearly showed that the mu of spirit rice in front of him would mature in 3 days. With these, even if he were expelled from Kinyu and Sword sect, he wouldn't have to worry. However, these would only allow him to get by in the Fang market at the foot of the mountain. If he wished to survive, his strength still needed to be improved. After all, this is the cultivation world, a place of survival of the fittest, where danger lurks everywhere. Lin Jing sat down cross-legged and started circulating his cultivation technique. A spiritual energy congregated towards him. Warning, warning, someone has entered the alert range. Please respond promptly, host. At the critical moment of his breakthrough, a system notification rang out, and Lin Jing's brows furrowed tightly. He had no choice but to stop cultivating. Who could be coming here at this time? Even so, Lin Jing didn't leave the system space immediately. Whoever it was that had come so late, he had to be cautious. Let's take a look first, Lin Jing thought silently. System, activate observation mode. Alright, master. Following that, Lin Jing felt as though he had activated a godlike perspective, looking down on his dwelling from above. With a thought, the perspective shifted to the front of his hut, where he saw two people concealing their auras, heading towards his dwelling. However, due to the darkness, Lin Jing couldn't make out the faces of the two. In observation mode, as long as they were within the alert range, Lin Jing could observe the outside situation from various perspectives, and he could freely choose to zoom in or out. Lin Jing zoomed in on the two and could finally see them clearly. It's actually them. Lin Jing was shocked. Why would they be together? Lin Jing recognized both individuals. One was Steward Li, and the other was, surprisingly, his neighbor, Yuan Bo. Now that they were here so late at night, they certainly weren't up to anything good. Lin Jing decided it was best not to go out just yet and to see what they were up to. The two reached the door, and seemed to sense something, pressing their ears against it to listen. Huh? No one's here. Steward Li pushed slightly on the door. Creak. Without noise, the door opened, and the two looked inside, only to see that the bed was empty. No one was there. Didn't you say he's been in the room all this time, not going out? Steward Li asked, his face showing obvious displeasure, as he questioned Yuan Bo. I indeed saw him enter the room and didn't see him leave. Then how do you explain the situation now? This. Looking at the empty room, Yuan Bo had words on his lips but found he was unable to say anything. Suddenly, as if realizing something, Yuan Bo turned to Steward Li and said, Uncle, it was hard enough to get Lin Jing out of the sect, and that Han character had to interfere. Could it be Han Jing this time? Did he secretly take him away? Hearing their words, Lin Jing understood that the destruction of the spirit field was indeed related to Yuan Bo, but what he hadn't expected was that Steward Li was the mastermind. The Han Jing they're talking about must be Senior Han, Lin Jing pondered. That won't be the case. Han Jing has always been upright and wouldn't engage in sly tactics. If he were to act, he would do so openly and honorably. Steward Li walked over to the table as he spoke. Looking at the luggage on the table, he said, his luggage is still here, so he probably hasn't left. Uncle, what do we do now? Do we wait here for him to come back? Hearing this, Lin Jing felt a surge of nervousness, his heart jumped to his throat. He only had 2 hours in the system space. If the 2 hours passed and he hadn't come out, the system would throw him out directly. At that time, when facing the two men, he would have no chance of survival. Steward Li pondered for a moment, then spoke. Let's look around first. We'll talk about the next steps if we find nothing. I can't stay here too long, otherwise, that Han character might notice something. With that said, the two men began to search the room together. What are they looking for? Lin Jing frowned and contemplated. Upon reflecting on the memories of his predecessor, aside from a few admonitions, his father had left him with nothing when he died. And as for himself, so poor that he didn't have a penny to his name, he really didn't know what could be of so much interest to them. Warning, warning, someone is entering the alert range. Please respond in a timely manner, host. Another person is coming. Lin Jing switched the observation perspective and saw someone flying on a sword, arriving above the hut instantly. Li Yeming, do you think just because you have the support of an elder, I wouldn't dare to kill you? Chapter 4 Breakthrough, Space Upgrade. Startled by the voice, Yuan Bo trembled. He quickly stopped what he was doing, his eyes filled with panic as he looked towards Steward Li. But Steward Li was not the least bit flustered. He gestured to Yuan Bo to follow him, then took the lead and walked outside. Yuan Bo, without uttering a word, hurriedly followed behind Steward Li. Outside the house, Senior Han had already descended from midair, his face gloomy, his eyes cold as he looked at Steward Li. After coming outside, Steward Li glared at Han Jing and spoke first, countering him. Han Jing, what do you mean by your words just now? I am here to visit my subordinates. How is it any of your business? Han Jing responded with a cold snort. Humphrey. Is that really the case? Steward Li continued, Lin Jing is also one of my subordinates. Now that he has been expelled from the sect because of an accident, I'm very distressed. I wanted to see if he needed anything, to treat him with the kindness due to a fellow sect member. Is that not allowed? Han Jing didn't answer but said coldly, where is he? Han Jing had just arrived and noticed that Lin Jing was not in the house, and there was no scent of blood around, indicating that the two hadn't made a move against Lin Jing yet. When we arrived, he wasn't in the house, but his luggage was still here. He must have had something to do and left temporarily. Han Jing looked straight at Steward Li. Seeing that his expression was calm and didn't seem to be lying, his own expression softened a bit. Then he said to Steward Li, "Don't think I don't know what you're up to. Are you not just after the foundation building elixir Lin Yu obtained? So it's because of the foundation building elixir." Lin Jing, observing in secret, suddenly understood. It turned out that Steward Li thought he was in possession of a foundation building elixir, which explained everything. I suppose being expelled from the sect is also related, isn't it? As long as I leave the sect, he could follow and then kill me to seize the elixir. However, Lin Jing was very clear that when his predecessor's father died, he only left a few last words and nothing else. He wondered where Steward Li had gotten his information. How did he know? Steward Li's heart skipped a beat upon hearing this. Yet his face still maintained an innocent look as if he knew nothing at all. What foundation building elixir? Senior Han, you must be mistaken. I just wanted to see if Lin Jing needed anything before he left. Han Jing, ignoring Steward Li's continued feigning of ignorance, went on to say, whether it's true or not, I'll tell you not to even think about it. Long ago, Lin Yu already gave that foundation building elixir to me. Otherwise, how do you think I succeeded in foundation establishment? Now that I owe Lin Yu a favor, naturally I have the duty to take good care of his son. Before, when you schemed to expel him from the sect, I didn't interfere, but if you plan to harm his life, I cannot overlook it. Steward Li couldn't help but feel bitter. He hadn't expected that his long-planned scheme would come to nothing. It turns out the foundation building elixir was gone long ago. Nevertheless, he didn't show it, acting as if he truly was ignorant of the matter of the elixir. I've made myself clear to you. If you make a move against Lin Jing again, don't blame me for being unkind. Steward Li continued to play dumb and said earnestly, Senior Han, we are all from the same sect. I've always seen him as my junior brother. How could I wish him harm? Seeing Steward Li's acting skills, Lin Jing couldn't help but admire him. If an uninformed person were present, they would likely have been fooled by now. However, the next sentence from Han Jing left Lin Jing feeling numb. In that case, let's wait here for him to come back. Alright. Seeing Han Jing so determined, Steward Li couldn't very well object. After that, they all went into the house together, and Yuan Bo quickly lit the oil lamp on the table. And so, the three of them sat in silence together in Lin Jing's thatched cottage, waiting for Lin Jing to return. With them here, it's even harder to leave without exposing the existence of the system space. Lin Jing, who had been observing the situation, couldn't help but give a bitter smile. Really out of luck, we've been blocked right at the source. Lin Jing quickly exited observation mode and asked the system. System, is there a way to appear somewhere else when I go out? Master, you can use fixed point teleportation. It can teleport you to the outside world. The teleportation range is the same as the size of the spirit field within your system space. Your current system space is level 1, with a spirit field range of 10 acres. Your teleportation range is also 10 acres, with a teleportation fee of 1 harvest point. There's a fee? Lin Jing was too drained to complain, especially since he currently had 0 harvest points. Before Lin Jing could ask any further questions, another prompt from the system arrived. The system detects that the host's current harvest points are 0. It is recommended that the host first make a breakthrough to Chi Refinement second layer. Note, host can obtain harvest points by breaking through within the system space. Looks like I'm being forced into a breakthrough. He checked the remaining time. There was a little over 1 hour left. Lin Jing didn't dare to delay any further and immediately relaxed his body and mind, adjusted his state, and began preparing for the breakthrough. It was hard to tell how much time had passed, but Lin Jing could feel that his breath had reached its peak. It seemed, however, that something was preventing him from advancing further. He gathered his focus, operated his cultivation technique with all his strength, and absorbed the spiritual energy into his body. As time passed, the amount of spiritual power in his body increased, and soon, the spiritual power in his meridians was brimming. Continue operating the cultivation technique. Lin Jing suddenly felt that everything about him had changed, as if the world had become more real in an instant. Chi Refinement second layer, he had made the breakthrough. Congratulations to the host for the successful breakthrough, awarded 10 harvest points. Ding system prompt, as this is the host's first time obtaining harvest points, you are awarded an additional 100 harvest points as a reward. The sudden reward took Lin Jing by surprise. He hadn't expected extra rewards. Was this some kind of newbie's benefit? With the 10 harvest points from the breakthrough and the additional 100 bonus harvest points, he now had 110 harvest points. Lin Jing remembered that upgrading the system space only needed 100 harvest points. System, open the panel. Then the panel appeared, and upon checking, He saw that he could indeed upgrade now. System space, level 1, upgrade available, remaining time, 17 minutes. Host, Linjing spirit field range, 10 acre spiritual energy density, 1 flow of time speed, 1 daily entry time, 2 hours. Upgrade requirement, 110 out of 100 harvest points. Special functions, alert mode, when the host enters the system space, the host's real-world surroundings will be included in the alert mode range, with immediate warnings for emergencies. Observation mode, the host can observe the real world from within the system space. Note, while in observation mode, the host's perspective will synchronize with the outside world's time. System, upgrade. Linjing didn't hesitate and immediately chose to upgrade. Boom. As Linjing finished speaking, changes started to take place within the system space, the most noticeable being that the space obviously expanded outward, increasing in range. And the spiritual energy within the space grew thicker and thicker. The entire upgrade process lasted for 10 minutes. After 10 minutes, a system prompt sounded. Ding, upgrade complete, current system space level 2. New function unlocked, cumulative time. Chapter 5, Fixed Point Teleportation. A new function has been unlocked again. Linjing summoned the system panel once more to check it. System space, level 2, remaining time, 2 hours 16 minutes, accumulative, 200 hours. Host, Linjing spirit field range, 20 acre spiritual energy density, 2 flow of time speed, 2 daily entry time, 4 hours required for upgrade, 10 out of 500 harvest points. Special functions, alert, when the host enters the system space, it includes the host's surrounding reality within the alert range and notifies the host of any emergencies. Observation, the host can observe the real world from within the system space. Note, the host's viewpoint will synchronize with the external time during observation. Time accumulation, the remaining daily entry time will not reset to 0, it can be accumulated. The entry time has increased again, now I can enter for 4 hours each day, plus with the doubled flow of time. That means I can stay in the system space for 8 hours each day, while only 4 hours pass by in the outside world. With this calculation, won't I be making a fortune? Just the thought excited Linjing. Having 4 extra hours every day compared to everyone else, how could he still be afraid of not progressing in his cultivation? Moreover, that's not all. As the system space upgrades, both the daily entry time and the flow of time will increase even further. Taking a deep breath, Linjing felt the rich spiritual energy around him and was immediately filled with confidence. The level 2 spiritual energy density was much denser than it had been in Steward Lee's courtyard, which even had a mini spirit gathering array. With such rich spiritual energy, wouldn't practicing in the system space yield results twice as fast? He suddenly felt that he was indeed capable, whether having a 5-element pseudo-spiritual root or not. Lacking a spiritual root, he could compensate with time. With the system space, he could also cram his cultivation level up. System, use fixed point teleportation. Excited as Linjing was, he had not forgotten what he needed to do next. In the real world, 3 people were still waiting for him in his room. Following that, Linjing activated what seemed like a god's viewpoint. Centered at his hut, his viewpoint began to rise, and his visual range expanded increasingly. Ding, the visual range expansion is complete. Please choose a teleportation site, the system prompted. Only when the system prompt sounded did his vision stop expanding, and this area perfectly matched the size of the spirit field, which was 20 acres. Right here. Linjing chose a spot far from his hut. Begin teleportation. No sooner had Linjing spoken than the scene before him became blurred, followed by a heady feeling of weightlessness. Suddenly, Linjing staggered, almost falling over. He quickly steadied himself, feeling the solid touch under his feet, and the sensation of weightlessness vanished. Looking ahead, all was pitch black. Linjing looked up, the sky was full of stars, and the moon had been obscured by clouds at some unknown time. Fortunately, since he began cultivating, his night vision had improved significantly over that of an ordinary person, making the dark environment not much of a challenge for him. After surveying his surroundings, Linjing discerned the direction and walked towards his hut. At this moment, he was not panicked, he had already prepared what to say to the 3 people before coming out. Meanwhile, inside Linjing's hut, Hanjing and Steward Lee were seated at opposite ends of a table, and Yuanbo stood cautiously beside Steward Lee. They all looked towards the door, waiting for Linjing to return. During this time, Steward Lee wanted to say something but, seeing Hanjing's ill expression, he dared not speak. As time passed, Linjing still had not returned, and the atmosphere in the room became more tense. Finally, Hanjing couldn't hold back and took the initiative to ask. "Are you sure he was not in the room when you arrived?" Hanjing's sudden question startled an already tense Yuanbo. He didn't dare to lift his head now, completely losing the arrogance he had during the day. He had spent the entire night in fear, dreading that Han Jing might suddenly lash out and kill him and his uncle right there. After all, Han Jing was a master at the Foundation establishment stage, and the two of them together were no match for him. He swore he had never hoped so desperately for Lin Jing to appear in his entire life. However, he wasn't the only one with that thought. Steward Lee thought the same. Although Steward Lee worked for the Elder and had his backing, if he truly angered Han Jing and got killed, it would mean his death was in vain. The other party was an inner sect disciple, with much deeper connections than him. Even if he were actually killed, the sect probably wouldn't do much about it. The worst they could do was give some punishment and then make him reflect behind closed doors. After all, an inner sect disciple was far more influential than he was. The sect couldn't just discard him. Besides, Lin Jing had disappeared, and he had mysteriously appeared here. If he reported this to the sect, just this one matter would leave him unable to clear his name. Therefore, Steward Lee was also very nervous, and hearing Han Jing's question, Steward Lee grew somewhat uneasy and frowned, saying, "When we came over, he indeed wasn't in the house. If Senior Han doesn't believe me, I can swear by my Dao heart." This statement made Han Jing, who wanted to say something more, hold his tongue. The fact that the other party even brought up swearing by the Dao heart indicated that he indeed wasn't lying. A little while later, Han Jing turned his head and looked towards Steward Lee. "Since he's not here, it's no use just waiting around here. Why don't we go out and search for him? Junior Brother Lee, what do you think?" "That sounds good." Steward Lee nodded in agreement. After that, the two of them stood up and walked out together. Just then, Han Jing suddenly stopped, and Steward Lee, puzzled, looked at Han Jing. "Senior Han, what's the matter?" Han Jing spoke, "No need to search, he's back." After Lin Jing came out, he pretended as if he knew nothing, heading towards his own thatched cottage. To avoid any signs of being discovered, as soon as he saw the lights in his house, he hurriedly ran towards the cottage. Approaching the cottage and seeing the three people standing at the door, Lin Jing was startled and quickly walked up, bowing to the two figures in front. "Senior Han, Steward Lee, what brings you here?" Steward Lee displayed a stern demeanor and chastised, "Where have you been running off to in the middle of the night? Don't you know that the sect rules forbid wandering around aimlessly?" Looking at Steward Lee, now solemn and imposing, he perfectly embodied a strict leadership figure. Had he not been observing all along, he might have been deceived himself. Lin Jing couldn't help but admire his acting skills. In his former life on Planet Blue, he would definitely have won an Oscar for Best Actor. Lin Jing lowered his stance and replied, to Steward Lee, "Earlier on, I felt close to a breakthrough and went out to avoid disruptions, so as not to spoil the effort, seeking a secluded spot to break through. Rest assured, Steward Lee, I am aware of the sect rules, and I didn't go far from here." "You broke through?" After hearing Lin Jing's words, Han Jing beside him extended his divine sense to check. Lin Jing bowed and said, "To Senior Han, I was just lucky and managed to break through." Indeed, after a thorough check, Han Jing confirmed that Lin Jing had indeed made a breakthrough. Then turning to Steward Lee, he said, "Didn't you just say, if Lin Jing got expelled from the sect, you'd share the responsibility, and that you'd wait for his return to give him some traveling funds? Well, here he is." Chapter 6, The Fox Exploits the Tiger's Might. Steward Lee was somewhat dazed. When had he ever said he would give him money for travel expenses? However, under the current circumstances, he had no choice but to do so. It was better to lose some wealth than to invite disaster. How could he have been so careless, to let Han Jing notice the clues, even though he had managed to muddle through? But from the looks of it, Han Jing clearly didn't believe him. Ahem. Steward Lee cleared his throat to ease the awkwardness. "Brother Lin. Due to your negligence causing the sect to suffer losses, expelling you from the sect is not my wish, do you understand?" Seeing Steward Lee looking so pained, Lin Jing felt like giving him a punch or two. He was really good at pretending. However, Lin Jing could only pretend as if he didn't know anything and said with a bow, "Steward Lee, it was my own negligence, I can't blame anyone else. Nor will I hold a grudge against anyone." Steward Lee nodded and said, "Yes, it's good that you understand. Although you have been expelled from the sect, we still share the bond of being fellow disciples. Now, the situation below the mountain is chaotic with demonic beasts rampant, only the Nanshan market at the foot of the mountain can be considered safe. I have some spirit stones here, take them. With these spirit stones, you should have enough to live in the Fang market for a while after you descend the mountain." As he spoke, Steward Lee took out a small package and handed it to Lin Jing. "How can I accept this? It really makes me feel embarrassed, Steward Lee." Lin Jing spoke as he received the package. He's not even showing a bit of hesitation? Seeing Lin Jing's behavior made Steward Lee freeze, murmuring to himself, wasn't Lin Jing very honest before? Why did he suddenly change today? If Lin Jing knew what Steward Lee was thinking, he would definitely laugh out loud. The previous Lin Jing was indeed very honest, but what does that have to do with me? Moreover, Steward Li had previously tried to harm his life, why should he still be polite to him? However, Lin Jing was currently completely attracted by the package of spirit stones and didn't notice the expression on Steward Li's face. Upon opening the package, there were a full 10 spirit stones. Given that Lin Jing, working as a spirit farmer at Kinyu and Sword Sect, could only earn 2 spirit stones as a reward for an entire year. With Steward Li handing out 10 stones, it was equivalent to 5 years of his income. But just as Lin Jing was excited, Han Jing, who had been silent this whole time, suddenly spoke. Steward Li, how long has it been since you last went down the mountain? You must be unaware that due to the recent upheaval of demonic beasts below the mountain, the prices in Nanshan market have soared. This small amount of spirit stones might not be enough. Han Jing spoke in a calm tone, looking at Steward Li, but his gaze carried a hint of sharpness and a clear threat. Steward Li's heart skipped a beat, he's really forcing me into a corner. Forget it, in the current situation, Han Jing surely won't let things slide. Steward Li gritted his teeth and made up his mind. Here. Oh? Brother, I indeed haven't been down the mountain for a long time, thank you for the reminder, Senior Han. After speaking, he took out the storage bag and pulled out 40 spirit stones, handing them to Lin Jing. These are some savings I've accumulated, this is all I have, and I think this should be enough for him to live in Nanshan market for a while. Don't you agree, Senior Han? The final word Senior Han was pronounced with a markedly raised voice, clearly indicating that this was his last offer. Yes, I think it should suffice, Han Jing nodded. Thank you, Steward Li, I will remember your kindness in my heart forever. Lin Jing showed no hint of embarrassment and directly accepted the spirit stone. Steward Li watched in pain, having spent much time accumulating these spirit stones, and now they were all given away. Yet, even so, he still pretended to be nonchalant about it. After you leave the mountain, you must live well, it's best to learn a skill, and not let down my expectations of you, he said. Rest assured, Steward Li, I will certainly live well and will surely meet your expectations, Lin Jing responded. Jokingly, with the system by his side, how could he not live well? After speaking, he turned to Yuan Bo, who had been hiding behind Steward Li. Brother Yuan, I never expected you to come to see me off as well, I am truly overwhelmed by your gesture, he said. I didn't realize that Brother Yuan was so loyal and righteous. I was blind to not appreciate it before, always opposing you. Now that I think about it, I am truly ashamed, Lin Jing continued. Seeing Han Jing glancing over from the side, Yuan Bo hurriedly spoke, Yes. Yes. I also came to see you off. What happened in the past doesn't matter, it's all behind us now. Having said that, he took out 5 spirit stones from his person and handed them to Lin Jing. This is all my savings, and now I give them to Brother Lin as travel expenses, hope you don't find it too little, he said. After speaking, he glanced at Han Jing to see if he would react, and quietly heaved a sigh of relief. Brother Yuan shows such friendship, it would be sad to refuse him, so I shall humbly accept, Lin Jing said. Saying so, he also accepted those 5 spirit stones. Yuan Bo could only look on helplessly, though reluctant, he dared not make a move. Lin Jing, you've advanced to the 2nd level of chi refinement, it seems you've been diligent. Once you leave the mountain, you must not slack off, understand? Steward Li said. Steward Li, rest assured, I will continue to cultivate diligently after I leave the mountain, Lin Jing assured. Good, that's good to hear. I have things to attend to tomorrow, so I won't be able to see you off. Remember, don't cause trouble for Senior Han on the road. Yuan Bo, let's go, Steward Li said. Having said that, he was about to leave with Yuan Bo from the place, not wishing to stay a moment longer. Brother Li, please wait, someone called out. Just as the two were about to step out of the door, Han Jing suddenly spoke up, stopping the two who were about to leave. What is it this time? At that moment, Steward Li completely lost his patience, having already bled a great deal today. Was Han Jing still not planning to let him go? Don't be hasty, Brother Li. I heard that you replicated many copies of the family's alchemy technique and sold them earlier, Han Jing explained. Now that Lin Jing is descending the mountain, needing a skill to thrive, why not gift him a copy? That way, he can be entrusted with a means to make a living. After hearing Han Jing's words, Steward Li calmed down, though still extremely displeased. Steward Li frowned deeply, pondering for a moment. Learning alchemy is incredibly difficult, and beginners often face huge expenditures that exceed their income. He's not suitable for it. Whether he can learn it or not depends on his own abilities. No need for us to worry, Han Jing insisted. Right, Brother Li? Seeing Han Jing's firm stance, Steward Li didn't hesitate and directly handed over the basic imprint books to Lin Jing. This is the general outline of alchemy. This one teaches spiritual herb identification, and this book introduces various elixir medicines, he said. This last book is the most important, Steward Lee said, picking up a book with a crimson cover. Lin Jing looked up to see controlling fire technique in black bold letters, starkly catching his eye. The first step in alchemy is mastering fire control, so mastering the controlling fire technique is critical, do you understand? Lin Jing nodded vigorously. Steward Lee continued, of course, it doesn't include any pill recipes, you will have to find those on your own. This set usually sells for 100 spirit stones, today you're getting it at a bargain. Lin Jing, won't you thank Steward Lee? Thank you, Steward Lee. Chapter 7, Descending the Mountain. After handing over that set of alchemy technique to Lin Jing, Steward Lee bid farewell to Han Jing directly. Senior Han, I take my leave. Having said that, Steward Lee left with Yuan Luo, and this time Han Jing did not stop them. After the two had left, Han Jing looked at Lin Jing with a strange look in his eyes. I had heard from your father that you were an honest man, but it seems your father must have misunderstood you. Lin Jing felt embarrassed immediately. He had gotten a bit carried away just now and hadn't looked like an honest man at all, so he quickly explained, Senior Han, since my father passed away suddenly, I had no choice but to do this for a living. Han Jing nodded and did not harbor any suspicions. I was worried you were too honest and would be bullied after leaving the mountain, but now it seems I was overly concerned. Senior Han, you knew my father, why have I never heard him mention you? Of course, it was because of you. Forget it, it's getting late now. You should rest early. I'll tell you more when you come down the mountain tomorrow. Having said half of this, the sudden turn in the conversation left Lin Jing momentarily unable to react. Okay then. Seeing that Han Jing had no intention of continuing, Lin Jing had no choice but to let it go. You should rest early. After finishing, Han Jing left the thatched cottage and flew away on his flying sword. Lin Jing remained at the spot, enviously watching him fly away on his flying sword. Just wait. Once I've learned to fly with a sword, I'll definitely outfly him for 3 days and 3 nights. Early the next day, Lin Jing woke up early. Since he began cultivating, he needed much less sleep. Despite having many things happen last night and sleeping late, he was still sprightly. After washing up, he picked up the already packed bundle and walked out of the cottage. Perhaps the consciousness of the original body still lingered, and on leaving, Lin Jing felt a sense of reluctance. After glancing back at the interior of the house one last time, Lin Jing closed the door, turned around, and walked away briskly. One must always look forward. This saying was perhaps meant for himself, or perhaps for the original self. Arriving in the village, Han Jing was already waiting there. Let's go. Han Jing called out and then turned and walked ahead, with Lin Jing following closely behind. The Kinyuan sword sect was located on Kinyuan Mountain, and several surrounding peaks were also under the jurisdiction of the Kinyuan sword sect. The place where Lin Jing had been staying was on the south side of Kinyuan Mountain, at Qingshan Peak. Descending from Qingshan Peak, and heading about 200 li south, was Lin Jing's current destination, Nanshan Market. However, the mountains were teeming with wild animals, and occasionally demonic beasts appeared, making the journey not so easy. Only big forces like the Kinyuan sword sect were unafraid of these demonic beasts. Lin Jing had been on Qingshan Peak for so long and had not heard of any instances of attacks by wild animals or demonic beasts. This was because the Kinyuan sword sect had long set up formations around Qingshan Peak, and also had disciples patrolling the area. Unlike other small sects and cultivator families, they lacked such luxury, and encounters with wild animal attacks were common, and occasionally even demonic beast attacks, which usually resulted in heavy losses for them. After leaving Qingshan Peak and entering the woods, Han Jing handed Lin Jing a Godspeed talisman, saying, my flying sword cannot carry 2 people at the same time, and we need to get out of these woods. You're slower, so use this to keep up with me. Okay. Lin Jing didn't say more, took the Godspeed talisman, activated it, and stuck it to his leg. By then, Han Jing had already moved quite a distance away. After sticking on the Godspeed talisman, Lin Jing quickly caught up. Han Jing was indeed fast, and with the Godspeed talisman, Lin Jing could barely keep up. Your father, he actually entered the Kinyuan sword sect quite early, and even held a little fame among the outer sect disciples. As Han Jing walked, he started talking about the former Lin Jing's father. Lin Jing followed closely behind Han Jing, listening intently. But later, a sect mission severely injured him and caused his cultivation to fall. It was during that mission that he acquired a foundation building elixir. Han Jing paid no mind to Lin Jing and continued speaking. He knew he had no hope of reaching the foundation establishment stage, so he gave the foundation building elixir to me and entrusted me to look after you, Han Jing said. So, you don't owe me anything. Lin Jing frowned, unaware of all this. In his previous memories, his father was just a spirit farmer and had a good relationship with a former steward. But why did father hide this from me? Lin Jing asked. Han Jing turned to look at Lin Jing and said, because you have a 5 elements mixed spirit root. With a 5 elements mixed spirit root, your path in cultivation was destined not to go far, not even qualifying to be an outer sect disciple. Since you couldn't cultivate, it was better to hide it from you from the start and let you be a spirit farmer, living a stable life. Moreover, your father had many enemies when he was young. He did this to protect you. After saying this, Han Jing sighed. Unfortunately, even so, some people wouldn't let you be. Your expulsion from the sect was because one of your father's old enemies secretly informed Steward Li that your father possessed a foundation-building elixir. The sect does not allow internecine strife among its members. Thus, Steward Li sought a way to expel you from the sect. He couldn't make his move within the sect. Your father's enemy harbored a strong revengeful heart, clearly unwilling to let you go, and being an inner sect disciple, there's not much I could do against him. Therefore, I just went with the flow, letting you break free from the Kinyuan sword sect. Although life may be tough, at least your life would be spared. So that's how it was. Thank you, Senior Han, for your help. From then on, Lin Jing finally understood that there were still people in the Kinyuan sword sect who wanted his life. If it weren't for Senior Han's help, even if he avoided this time, he might not escape the next. And according to what Senior Han had just said, the adversary was also an inner sect disciple, at least at the Foundation establishment stage. Being targeted by a Foundation establishment cultivator was frightening, and leaving the Kinyuan sword sect was indeed the best choice. I told you, you don't owe me anything, no need to thank me. Without your father's foundation building elixir, I might have risked advancing to the Foundation establishment stage, likely resulting in my demise from an exploded body, Han Jing reminisced, still visibly frightened by the memory of that nearly failed attempt, fortunately stabilized by the elixir. Also, the alchemy technique given to you by Steward Li is incomplete. Refining first-rank elixir medicine should be no problem, but from second rank onwards, the failure rate increases significantly. Of course, this is what I've heard. As to the actual case, you'd have to verify it yourself. If it really won't work, just throw it away. If it really doesn't work, consider joining a small sect and becoming a spirit farmer. Ah. Incomplete? Lin Jing was stunned. Why else do you think he would sell it? If you luckily succeed in cultivation, you should still seek other alchemy techniques later. If it doesn't work out, give up sooner and look for other paths. Senior Han, I understand, Lin Jing nodded. Actually, Han Jing had more to say. He didn't really believe Lin Jing could become a second-rank pill master, even first rank was a stretch. Still, without any skills down the mountains, survival would be tough, so letting him try was harmless. However, the controlling fire technique is valuable, you should diligently cultivate it. Rest assured, Senior Han. Afterward, the two journeyed in silence, each deep in their own thoughts. It was only in the afternoon when they emerged from the forest and reached the main road. Han Jing bid farewell to Lin Jing. Alright, I'll leave you here. Just follow this road, and you will soon see Nanshan Market. He then handed Lin Jing a storage bag. Inside, there are some spirit stones, enough for you for a while. If you run out of spirit stones inside and haven't reached the rank of a first-rank pill master, it means you don't have the talent for alchemy, and you should give up then. Take care. After speaking, Han Jing flew back towards Kinyuan Mountain on his flying sword. Senior Han, take care. Chapter 8 Renting a house. After saying farewell to Han Jing, Lin Jing walked for over an hour before finally arriving at Nanshan Market. The market was vast, almost equivalent in size to a city, and not only were there cultivators, but also many ordinary people. As he walked down the bustling streets, the cacophony of hawkers' calls was incessant, and the shops lined up along the streets dazzled the eyes. His main priority now was to find a place to live, so Lin Jing did not wander about. He made his way through the bustling streets to the administration office of the market. Steward, I wish to reside in the market for an extended period. May I ask if there are any houses to rent or for sale? Inside the administration office, an elderly man with white hair was playing with a jade pendant in his hand. At the sound of Lin Jing's voice, he glanced up and said, Do you have a certificate? Certificate? Lin Jing asked in confusion. To rent a house within the market, you need a certificate. If you don't have one, go find a place outside around the market to live. Having said that, the steward returned his attention to the jade pendant in his hand, ignoring Lin Jing. Lin Jing bowed and said, Steward, my senior once mentioned that living in a market does not require a certificate. I am not sure when the rules changed. I would appreciate it if you could inform me. Seeing Lin Jing's courteous attitude, the steward put away his jade pendant and looked up at him. Recently, there have been outbreaks of demonic beasts, often appearing to launch attacks on people. Many want to move into the market for shelter. The market has limited space, it can't accommodate that many people. Therefore, the market has set conditions. Only those with certificates issued by the market administration can rent a house inside. And to get a certificate, one either needs a recommendation or must have made contributions to the market. Do you understand now? I see, I thank the steward for the information. Lin Jing expressed his gratitude with a bow. You have arrived relatively early. If it were a few days later, even the places on the outskirts of the market would be fully occupied. While there is still not so much tension around the outskirts of the market, rent a place quickly. Otherwise, in a few days, there won't be anything left to rent. The steward spoke up. Perhaps because he found Lin Jing somewhat pleasing, he also reminded him before he left. Remember to rent a house as close to the center of the market as possible when you do so. The closer to the edge of the market, the less safe it is. Many thanks for the reminder, steward. I take my leave. After leaving the market administration office, Lin Jing headed straight for the outskirts. After making several inquiries, Lin Jing wandered about for quite some time before finally reaching the outskirts administration office. After stating his purpose, one of the stewards immediately led him to inspect a house. The dwellings in the outskirts were cramped and the alleys were narrow. After following this steward through a maze of turns, they arrived in front of a small courtyard. Here we are. This little courtyard fits your requirements and it's not expensive, just 5 lower-grade spirit stones per year. Lin Jing frowned, not expecting the rent in the outskirts of the market to be so high. After all, when he was growing spirit rice at Kinyu Sword Sect, he only earned 2 lower-grade spirit stones per year. Lin Jing pondered for a moment. Are you going to rent or not? If not, you can go towards the fringe areas near the Night Mist Mountain range. It's less there, only 1 spirit stone per year. But I can't assure you about the safety. Seeing Lin Jing's troubled expression, the steward thought Lin Jing didn't have enough spirit stones, his face falling and even his tone of voice was not as polite as before. I'll rent it. Having said that, Lin Jing took out 5 lower-grade spirit stones from his bosom and handed them to the steward. Upon receiving the spirit stones, the steward immediately became all smiles. That's more like it. Rest assured, this place is much safer than those on the outer fringes. You'll soon realize that these 5 spirit stones are definitely worth it. Alright, this is your house from now on. If you need to pay your rent in the future or there's anything else, I'll come to inform you. After speaking, the steward bid farewell to Lin Jing and left directly. Lin Jing opened the courtyard door to find a small tree in the middle of the yard, a round stone table beneath it, and a house built with green bricks and tiles, with a cooking space besides it. Perhaps because no one had lived here, the yard looked somewhat cluttered, with dead leaves and branches everywhere, even a layer on the stone table. Creak. Lin Jing pushed open the house door, and a smell of rot hit him, mingled with visible dust. Cough. Cough cough. Lin Jing stepped back 2 steps, fanning the air with his hand. The previous owner of this house must have been so sloppy, Lin Jing remarked. However, seeing that the sun was about to set and it was getting dark, if he didn't start cleaning up, he would only be able to lie down in the courtyard. Lin Jing sighed and then began to clean up. This busyness lasted till late at night. After cleaning, the house was basically empty, and now it truly was unsuitable for living. Wanting to get the essentials for living would have to wait until tomorrow. Enter the system space. As Lin Jing's words fell, darkness abruptly dissipated, the sunlight glared, and it was so intense that Lin Jing couldn't even open his eyes. It would be nice if the weather and time of day could be adjusted, Lin Jing mused to himself, then walked forward. In front of him was the spirit field that he had planted, which upon checking, would mature in 1 day, whereas yesterday there were still 3 days to go. In the system space, the flow of time was twice as fast as the outside world. From yesterday until now was precisely 1 day, it seemed that by tomorrow noon, he could start the harvest. It's just right that Senior Han gave me a storage bag. Once the spirit rice matures, I can directly pack it into the storage bag for selling, which makes things much more convenient. First, let's see how large the storage space of that storage bag is, to make preparations in advance. Lin Jing took out the storage bag, infused it with spiritual power, opened the bag, and then sent his divine sense into it. Immediately afterward, Lin Jing was stunned. 500. There were 500 spirit stones. I didn't expect Senior Han to give so much. Looking at the pile of spirit stones, Lin Jing's breathing became a bit rapid. He had never seen so many spirit stones before. And that wasn't all. Next to the spirit stones was a stack of talismans. Lin Jing let his divine sense probe further. Fireball talisman, cleansing talisman, Godspeed talisman, invisibility talisman. Several types of talismans, a total of more than 20. And the last 2 dark red talismans were inscribed with the words 5 Thunder talisman. The Five Thunder technique was a spell that only Foundation establishment cultivators could cultivate. And these Five Thunder talismans were equivalent to the full force of a Foundation establishment cultivator's attack. This was something that could save a life at a critical moment. Lin Jing felt an overwhelming sense of gratitude. He hadn't expected such valuable things to be given to him by Senior Han. He made a note of Senior Han's kindness in his heart. Furthermore, after investigating, Lin Jing found that the storage bag was not small either, a full 10 cubic meters, enough to fit all of his 10 acres of spirit rice. Lin Jing estimated that just this storage bag was worth quite a lot. After feeling moved, Lin Jing composed himself and prepared to start cultivating. The spiritual energy in the system space was dense. Lin Jing sat down cross-legged, and soon entered a state of cultivation. The next day, Lin Jing left early to purchase some necessities for living. After returning, he also took the opportunity to clean the courtyard again. By the time he finished, it was already afternoon. Looking at the completely renewed courtyard, Lin Jing smiled contentedly. Now it really felt like a home. After tidying up the house, Lin Jing had another task to do. The spirit rice in the system space had matured and could be harvested. Next, he would walk around to find a suitable business to sell the spirit rice. Chapter 9 Host, please do your best. Lin Jing had just walked out. At that moment, the door of the yard opposite his also opened. Two young men, who looked very similar, came out and faced each other. To avoid awkwardness, Lin Jing nodded as a greeting and then planned to leave. However, just then, a voice came from behind him. Esteemed fellow Taoist, please wait a moment. Lin Jing stopped, turned around, and looked at the two men. The one on the left, wearing a smile, spoke. Fellow Taoist must have just moved here, right? I am Zhang Sen, he said, and pointing to the person next to him, he continued, this here is my twin brother, Zhang Lin. May I know your esteemed name, fellow Taoist? Lin Jing. Lin Jing spoke and then asked Zhang Sen with curiosity, may I inquire if there is something you need, fellow Taoist Zhang? Lin Jing had just arrived and was unfamiliar with the people around, with no immediate plans to interact with others, making him appear rather aloof. Zhang Sen didn't mind and said, so it's fellow Taoist Lin. Being new to this place, you must be unfamiliar with everything here. Going forward, we will all be neighbors, so it's good to have each other's support. If there is any difficulty where you need our help, just ask, he added. Lin Jing was somewhat surprised. They had just met, yet they were so warm and friendly, which was unexpected to him. Thank you for your kind intentions, fellow Taoists Zhang, but it's getting late now, and I still need to arrange some furniture. I won't chat with you now, he responded. Let's talk some other time when I'm available. Nevertheless, Lin Jing didn't feel like getting too involved with him at the moment and excused himself to leave. Fellow Taoist Lin, you are too courteous, said Zhang Sen. We brothers also have matters to attend to, so we shall not delay you further, fellow Taoist Lin. Let's chat another day, he added. After saying this, the two of them left directly. Watching them leave, Lin Jing also turned and left. After visiting Fang Market, by the time he returned, it had already turned dark. Back at the courtyard, Lin Jing had a preliminary understanding of several businesses in the market that purchased spirit rice. He had planted 10 acres of spirit rice in the system space, and each acre could yield 1,000 kilograms. Altogether, that was 10,000 kilograms. 10,000 kilograms was not a small amount. Naturally, he couldn't sell it all to a single business as that could arouse suspicion and he would need to change to several businesses. Currently, being only a junior cultivator at the second level of Chi training, even dividing up the sales would inevitably draw attention. If only there were a magic artifact that could change one's appearance and aura, that would be wonderful, he thought. The maturity period for spirit rice is 1 year, but with the enhancement from the system space, it could mature in half a year. With 20 acres of spirit fields inside the system space all planted with spirit rice, that would be 40,000 kilograms in a year. That's equivalent to the annual yield of a small family. No, that won't do, Lin Jing shook his head. 40,000 kilograms of spirit rice of unclear origin entering the market would definitely catch the attention of the discerning. I can't just plant spirit rice. Over the next few days, I need to see if there are other crops I can plant. And, I must also find a way to acquire a magic artifact that can alter appearance and aura as soon as possible. Of course, his cultivation could not be neglected. Since he had already used up his entry time into the system space the previous night, he could only practice cultivation in the courtyard for now. However, it wasn't long before Lin Jing frowned and stopped his cultivation. The spiritual energy here is so sparse, even worse than it was at Kinyuan Peak. Lin Jing frowned because the spiritual energy in this place was too thin, making his cultivation with his spirit root aptitude ineffective here. I wonder how other people manage to cultivate here. Could it be that they use spirit stones to cultivate? After that, He dismissed the idea. First of all, his cultivation aptitude was poor, and even if he used spirit stones for cultivation, the effect would be minimal unless he got a spirit gathering array. With the aid of a spirit gathering array, it would be a different story. Furthermore, while he now seemed to have a substantial number of spirit stones, over 500, he still had to learn alchemy and purchase pill recipes and alchemy ingredients, as well as a magic artifact that could alter his appearance and aura. When all was accounted for, these spirit stones were far from sufficient. Not to mention, just one magic artifact for altering appearance and aura could significantly dwindle his supply of spirit stones. After all, what he needed to buy was no ordinary magic artifact, it had to at least shield him from the divine sense of cultivators in the late stage of Foundation establishment, making trades more manageable in the future. In this world, being weak was the original sin. He certainly did not want to be devoured by others during trades, leaving not even a scrap of bone behind. Therefore, concealing his identity was of utmost importance right now. Unable to cultivate, Lin Jing picked up the pill scripture and began reading. He read until late at night, waiting for the system to prompt him. System space-time refreshed, remaining time, 4 hours. Lin Jing entered the house and picked up the sickle he had purchased along with the furniture. Enter system space, Lin Jing thought to himself. The spirit rice was ripe, he had been waiting for this moment for a long time. Soon after, Lin Jing began to get busy. Until an hour later, Lin Jing, drenched in sweat, collapsed beside the field. System prompt, harvesting 1 mu of medium-grade spirit rice, gained harvest points, 1. Seeing the system prompt floating by, Lin Jing couldn't help but complain. The system is really stingy. System prompt, as it is the host's first time harvesting a spirit plant, reward gained, 10 harvest points. Is this another achievement reward? Just 1 harvest point for 1 mu of spirit rice, reaching the next level would take ages. System, come out and explain. Host, the harvest points gained from planting spirit plants are determined by the grade of the spirit plant. The higher the grade of the spirit plant, the more spiritual power it contains, and the more harvest points you will obtain. To gain more harvest points, you need to find higher grade spirit plants to plant. Host, please keep it up. After hearing the system's explanation, Lin Jing felt a bit embarrassed. Hey. Hee. It seemed he couldn't blame the system, after all, he had planted spirit rice. Who let his cultivation be low, preventing him from accessing higher grade spirit plants. Although the provided harvest points were few, the yield was good. This 1 mu of land, Lin Jing estimated, would yield over 1,000 jin, and this was medium grade spirit rice, which was much more valuable than low grade spirit rice. Based on the prices he had inquired about today, 50 jin of medium grade spirit rice could be traded for 1 lower grade spirit stone, thus, 1,000 jin would equal 20 lower grade spirit stones. Really, being a landowner feels much more comfortable. With the comparison from his time at Kinyuan Sword Sect, Lin Jing smiled with satisfaction. After the harvest, next was the drying and husking of the spirit rice to turn it into true spirit rice. Considering that there were several more mu of spirit field to harvest, Lin Jing did not linger. After spreading out the spirit rice to dry, he left the system space. That night, Lin Jing did not cultivate and slept soundly. In the following days, Lin Jing left early and returned late, wandering around Fang Market. He became quite familiar with the entire market. Nanshan Market was established and managed collaboratively by several sects nearby to facilitate trading between various forces. The largest force, naturally, was the Kinyuan Sword Sect. Since the Kinyuan Sword Sect was renowned throughout the Nanming domain and located near the Night Mist Mountain range boasting rich resources, many loose cultivators came seeking fame. Some small families even relocated their entire clans here to seek development, and over time, Nanshan Market reached its current scale. Of course, Lin Jing did not need to concern himself with these details. He was more interested in the various shops in the market. After all, he would inevitably have to deal with these shops in the future. Therefore, getting to know them in advance was essential. Chapter 10 Selling Spirit Rice Shopkeeper Ching. Lin Jing walked into a shop named Yuming Commercial Firm. After inquiring for the past few days, Lin Jing knew that this shop had a good reputation in Fang Market, so, for the first sale of spirit rice, he chose Yuming Commercial Firm. Hearing the voice, a middle-aged man who was playing with an abacus behind the counter looked up. Seeing Lin Jing approaching, shopkeeper Ching's face broke into a smile. So it's young Master Lin, has your spirit rice matured and you wish to sell? Lin Jing had already visited this place 2 days before and had spoken with shopkeeper Ching, mentioning that his family had spirit rice they wanted to sell. Since it was the harvest season for spirit rice, during this time, members from various families often came to sell their spirit rice. However, regarding Lin Jing coming by himself, shopkeeper Ching took him to be a key member in charge of his family's finances. Therefore, Shopkeeper Ching harbored no suspicions. Moreover, the amount Lin Jing spoke of was considerable. After some discussion, they had settled on a price of 1 to 50, that is, 1 spirit stone for 50 caddies of spirit rice. This ratio was already quite generous. I've brought the spirit rice. Where would Shopkeeper Ching prefer to inspect it? You've brought it? Shopkeeper Ching was taken aback. Seeing Lin Jing by himself and looking outside, he saw the street was empty, without a cart to transport spirit rice in sight. Right here, said Lin Jing, taking off the storage bag at his waist and shaking it. Oh. Shopkeeper Ching suddenly realized. It seems my guess was not wrong, young Master Lin indeed holds a unique status within the family. Not only in charge of selling spirit rice but the family even equipped you with a storage bag. After speaking, Shopkeeper Ching then reminded him, young Master Lin, it would still be best to be cautious in the future. It's safe enough here in Fang Market, but it can be quite risky outside. Especially since you're carrying such valuable goods, if someone takes notice, at the least you could be robbed, or at worst it could cost you your life. Shopkeeper Ching knew that Lin Jing's cultivation was not high and attributed Lin Jing's boldness in coming alone to the market to his exceptional skill and bravery. Thank you for the reminder, Shopkeeper Ching. However, you worry too much, Shopkeeper Ching. I naturally came out with the elders of my family, it's just that the family elders still have other matters to attend to, and they want to train my abilities. That's why it's only me by myself. After Lin Jing finished speaking, Shopkeeper Ching slapped his forehead. I thought so. That explains it. Then Shopkeeper Ching laughed. Ha ha ha, indeed I worried needlessly. Young Master Lin, let's go to the backyard. There's a grain storage there. After that, Shopkeeper Ching called a clerk to help watch the store. Young Master Lin, please. Shopkeeper Ching led the way, guiding Lin Jing toward the backyard. Having reached the backyard's grain storage, Lin Jing opened the storage bag and took out all the spirit rice inside. This is a total of 2,000 caddies. Please check the quality, Shopkeeper Ching. Young Master Lin, please wait a moment. Then, Shopkeeper Ching opened one of the sacks, reached in, and grabbed a handful of spirit rice. First, he examined it carefully, then sniffed it underneath his nose, and finally took a few grains and tasted them meticulously in his mouth. Not bad, the quality is excellent. After that, Shopkeeper Ching randomly selected a few more bags of spirit rice and inspected them one by one. Every time we purchase spirit rice, we must inspect it carefully. I hope you don't take offense, young Master Lin. That's how it should be, I understand, Lin Jing said. Shopkeeper Ching, how about this spirit rice? Shopkeeper Ching's smile squinted into his eyes. This spirit rice is of good quality, I'll take it all, just at the price we agreed upon before. What does the young fellow think? Good, Lin Jing nodded in response. Then, Shopkeeper Ching continued, Lin, you mentioned earlier that this is just the first batch, and there will be more to come. I just don't know how much more you're referring to, but I want to buy it all. Seeing Shopkeeper Ching's eagerness, Lin Jing lowered his head to think, I had originally planned to sell the spirit rice in separate batches, but seeing Shopkeeper Ching like this. It seems that I underestimated the spirit rice market in the Fang market before. After pondering for a moment, Lin Jing decided to tell the truth. 8,000 jin, Lin Jing said, gesturing with his hand. Good, Shopkeeper Ching's eyes lit up. Lin, we have a deal then. I'll take all 8,000 jin. About the remaining 8,000 jin, how many days will it take to harvest? I will bring them to you after they are harvested in a few days. Alright, I'll be waiting for you, Lin, said Shopkeeper Ching. Afterward, the two left the storeroom. While walking on the road, Lin Jing asked, Shopkeeper Ching, do you have any seeds here? Of course, we do. What kinds of seeds does Lin want? Superior spirit rice seeds, 100 jin. Then, I'll also take some 7-star grass seeds, let's go with 50 jin. 7-star grass seeds? Does someone in your family happen to be a talisman maker? Shopkeeper Ching turned his head to look at Lin Jing and asked. 7-star grass is a type of spirit grass specifically used to make talismans, and it requires a higher spiritual energy to cultivate than spirit rice. Of course, the price is also higher. However, with the current density of spiritual energy in the system space, there would be no problem cultivating 7-star grass. Shopkeeper Ching misunderstands. I've just heard that demon beasts are causing trouble frequently, and the price of 7-star grass keeps rising, so I thought about cultivating some to sell next year. Hee hee. It seems the young fellow has done his research. Indeed, the price of 7-star grass has been soaring, nearly doubling. Shopkeeper Ching spoke seriously. I just have to warn you that an average spirit field cannot cultivate 7-star grass. If the spiritual energy is insufficient, the 7-star grass won't survive. Lin Jing nodded. I'm well aware of that. When Lin Jing left Yuming Commercial, he didn't have more spirit stones. In fact, he had spent some. The price of 7-star grass had skyrocketed, and so had the seeds. 50 jin of 7-star grass seeds cost him 50 spirit stones. Adding 100 jin of superior spirit rice seeds, the total was 60 spirit stones, whereas Lin Jing's 2,000 jin of medium-grade spirit rice had only sold for 40 spirit stones. In the end, Lin Jing ended up owing shopkeeper Cheng 20 spirit stones. Once Lin Jing was back at his home, he had hardly any time to rest before entering the system space. Now, in the system space, there was still a lot of unused land. Not using the available land would be wasteful. Following the principle that waste is shameful, Lin Jing's first task upon returning was to farm the land. By the time Lin Jing was transmitted out of the system space, it was already the early hours of the following day. Because the flow of time speed in the system space was different from the outside world, the hours he seemingly vanished were, in fact, over 10 hours of non-stop labor in the space. Even so, more than half of the land in the system space remained unused. After being transported out, Lin Jing fell asleep immediately. He had been too busy lately, busy to the extent that he didn't even have time to practice his elixir technique. Once these next few days pass, I must seriously study alchemy and the controlling fire technique, essential for alchemy. Senior Han has said that I should also diligently cultivate it. As Lin Jing thought, he slowly drifted into sleep. Chapter 11 The spirit stones just turned, gone again. Several days later, all the spirit rice in the system space had matured, and Lin Jing harvested it all. Yet the system remained as stingy as ever, granting just 1 harvest point per acre of land. After the harvest, Lin Jing dried the spirit rice and husked it, sending it all to the Yuming Commerce. Shopkeeper Ching received it all with a big smile and even discussed with Lin Jing about placing an order for next year's spirit rice. Since there was a buyer, Lin Jing readily agreed. After the two sides settled on the terms, Lin Jing left the Yuming Commerce with the 160 lower-grade spirit stones he'd earned from selling the spirit rice. Over the following 2 months, Lin Jing spent most of his time at home, studying alchemy and the controlling fire technique, venturing out only every few days. Sometimes, he would bump into the Zhang brothers, Zhang Sen and Zhang Lin. Zhang Sen was quite talkative and would always strike up a conversation with Lin Jing whenever they met. But Lin Jing wasn't quite used to it and usually gave a few brief answers before leaving. One of Lin Jing's 2 neighbors was a young woman he had seen a couple of times. She seemed about Lin Jing's age. However, she was not alone, she had a daughter with her, a cute little girl about 5 or 6 years old. Zhang Sen had told him that the young woman used to live with her husband, but sadly, her husband had an accident while hunting demonic beasts, leaving just the mother and daughter behind. As for the other neighbor, Lin Jing had yet to meet them. Today, Lin Jing was preparing to go out again. After 2 months of studying alchemy, Lin Jing felt he had a basic understanding and was ready to try his hand at pill refining. Pill refining required purchasing a pill furnace, pill recipes, and ingredients, all of which cost a substantial amount of spirit stones. Furthermore, Lin Jing planned, in the future, to cultivate spirit grass in a system space, harvesting it himself and then selling the elixir medicine he refined from it. Wouldn't this entire process earn him more than just selling spirit rice? TSK. Perfect? Since he planned for long-term cooperation, it was natural to choose a reliable trading firm. And now, he was heading to the most renowned one in the Fang market. Yuba Alu. Yuba Alu, with its mysterious background, had branches in many places. Its most praised qualities included a good reputation, fair prices, never bullying customers with its clout, and never leaking customer privacy. As long as you were willing to sell, they never questioned the origins and would buy everything. Of course, whatever you bought from Yuba Alu, you needn't worry about privacy breaches, for Yuba Alu strictly prohibited the disclosure of any client information. Arriving in front of Yuba Alu, Lin Jing looked up. A 7-story tower stood as the only one of its kind in the entire Nanshan market. It covered a substantial area, and there was also a large square inches front of the tower, where it was not unusual to see cultivators setting up stalls and bustling with activity. It was said that one only needed to pay spirit stones to Yuba Alu to set up a stall there. Lin Jing didn't linger. Instead, he walked straight through the square and into Yuba Alu. Yuba Alu was vast, with magic artifacts, elixir medicine, and cultivation techniques aplenty. As soon as Lin Jing entered, a maid came up to greet him. "Welcome to Yuba Alu, Immortal. What are you looking for?" "Immortal?" Lin Jing was unfamiliar with the term and then looked towards her. "Ah, so he's immortal. No wonder. I need to buy a pill furnace and some alchemy ingredients. So the Immortal is an alchemist, please follow me." Envy was evident in the maid's eyes. She then led Lin Jing to the second floor and directed him to a counter. "Elder Yu, This immortal wishes to purchase an alchemy furnace and alchemy ingredients. After finishing her instructions with Elder Yu at the counter, the maid left directly. May I know, fellow Taoist, what kind of pill furnace are you looking for? Elder Yu asked. I've recently learned the elixir technique and want to try refining elixirs myself. Does Elder Yu have any pill furnaces to recommend? The art of elixir refinement is not easy to start with, especially for beginners. The failure rate is extremely high, and it's quite easy to cause an explosion in the furnace. So, beginners choosing a pill furnace should prioritize quality and toughness. Use this furnace for initial practice, and diligently apply yourself daily in the practice of the controlling fire technique. Although it may be initially difficult to control the temperature because of the furnace, once one has thoroughly mastered it, there will be no impact. At that time, if a fellow Taoist switches to another pill furnace, the success rate of elixir refinement will considerably increase. Having said that, Elder Yu turned around, took a cyan pill furnace from the display shelf behind him, and placed it in front of Lin Jing. This three-legged copper furnace is an extremely rare 6 times refined furnace. Its body exhibits its own treasured light, the material is tough, able to remain unscathed even after multiple explosions, and is particularly suitable for beginners to practice on. Moreover, its price is fair, costing only 120 lower-grade spirit stones. Lin Jing picked up the three-legged copper furnace and observed it closely. Indeed, as Elder Yu had said, a faint luster was emanating from the body of the furnace, showing its own treasured light. 120 lower-grade spirit stones is indeed a fair price for a 6 times refined furnace. During the past few days, Lin Jing, while roaming in the Fang market, had collected quite some information, including that about pill furnaces. The cheaper ones cost about 50 lower-grade spirit stones, but those pill furnaces were of exceptionally low quality. A slight mishap would cause an explosion, and sometimes even harm the alchemist. The good ones went up to 1,000 spirit stones. Lin Jing couldn't afford those, but this three-legged copper furnace was just right. Right then, Lin Jing made up his mind. I'll take this copper furnace. Elder Yu, may I know the price for the ingredients to refine fasting pills here? Also, I would like to purchase some pill recipes. Many alchemists start learning the elixir technique by refining fasting pills. It's not without reason, as the required ingredients for refining fasting pills are relatively common and inexpensive. And Lin Jing was no exception, planning to start learning from the fasting pill. Fellow Taoist, please wait a moment. Having said that, Elder Yu took out a booklet from under the counter and handed it to Lin Jing. It appears that fellow Taoist requires a considerable number of items. This is the price list, please have a look. Let me know directly what you wish to purchase. Lin Jing nodded, picked up the booklet, and began to flip through it. Energy Gathering Pill Recipe, First Rank, 10 Lower Grade Spirit Stones. Energy Restoration Elixir Recipe, First Rank, 10 Lower Grade Spirit Stones. Fasting Pill Recipe, First Rank, 5 Lower Grade Spirit Stones. Poison Avoidance Elixir Recipe, First Rank, 5 Lower Grade Spirit Stones. Energy Gathering Pill Ingredients, 1 Lower Grade Spirit Stone Proportion. Energy Restoration Elixir Ingredients, 1 Lower Grade Spirit Stone Proportion. Fasting Pill Ingredients, 5 portions for 1 Lower Grade Spirit Stone. Following that, he purchased several first-rank pill recipes and 100 portions of fasting pill ingredients. As for the materials for pills like the Energy Gathering Pill, Energy Restoration Elixir, and Blood Coagulation Pill, he took 10 portions of each, planning to practice with them upon his return. Soon, he completed his purchases. This trip cost him over 200 lower-grade spirit stones. The spirit stones he had just earned were gone again. Chapter 12 Got Trapped? Leaving Yubaalu, Lin Jing did not linger outside but hurried home. Lin Deu, we brothers have been tight on money recently, please give us a few more days' grace. We will pay you back in a few days. Just as he turned into the alley, Lin Jing heard someone speaking. Lin Jing looked up and saw Zhang Sen and Zhang Lin, the two brothers, talking with their neighbor, a young woman. The neighbor's cute little girl was shyly hiding behind her mother at that moment. The young woman furrowed her brows, looking coldly at the two men. Seeing Lin Jing approach, Zhang Sen quickly greeted him. Brother Lin. Zhang Sen's face was full of surprise as he smiled and walked toward Lin Jing. Brother Zhang. Since the other party had already come over, it wouldn't be good for Lin Jing to avoid them. Brother Lin may not be acquainted with Lin Deu yet, but we will be neighbors from now on and will inevitably help each other. Let me introduce you. With that, he led Lin Jing over to the young woman. This is Ningyu, Lin Deu. After finishing the introduction to her, he turned to Ningyu and said, Lin Deu, this is Lin Jing, Lin Deu. He lives next door, and just moved in over 2 months ago. He doesn't go out much, so you probably haven't met yet. As Zhang Sen introduced Lin Jing, The little girl peeked her head out from behind and looked at Lin Jing. Lin Jing, feeling something, looked back, and the little girl, as if startled like a rabbit, quickly retreated behind her mother. Brother Lin. Zhang Sen beamed with a smile. It's an emergency. We previously borrowed some spirit stones from Lindao and now Lindao suddenly has an urgent need for spirit stones. I've been strapped for cash these past few days and can't gather enough. I would trouble Brother Lin to lend me some spirit stones so I can pay back Lindao first. Not much, just 5 spirit stones will do. Rest assured, Brother Lin, once I'm flush in a few days, I'll definitely repay you. Lin Jing frowned. Brother Lin, please help me out, Zhang Sen spoke again. Don't worry, Brother Lin, as soon as I earn some spirit stones in a few days, I will immediately repay you. Seeing Zhang Sen speak so earnestly, Lin Jing decided to trust him this time. Alright. With that, Lin Jing took out 5 spirit stones from his chest and handed them over. Normally, when outside, Lin Jing would hide his storage bag and keep a few spirit stones on his person. For someone at the 2nd rank of Chi refinement, having a storage bag was abnormal. Being seen with one could provoke malicious intent. After all, a storage bag would cost at least several hundred spirit stones, something not normally possessed by a 2nd rank junior cultivator. In short, with his current low strength, it was always better to be cautious. Thanks a lot, Brother Lin. Zhang Sen could not hide the joy on his face. Taking the spirit stones, Zhang Sen promptly passed them to Ningyu. Lindao, our debt is settled. Ningyu took the spirit stones, nodding slightly. Lindao, Brother Lin, we brothers have matters to attend to, so we'll be leaving first. Seeing the business concluded, Zhang Sen and Zhang Lin prepared to leave. Rest assured, Brother Lin, I will return the spirit stones to you in a few days, Zhang Sen continued. Also, I forgot to mention earlier, Lindao is an alchemist. If you need elixir medicine in the future, you can ask for her help. Lindao, Brother Lin, we take our leave. After saying that, the two of them turned and left. Alchemist. Lin Jing looked toward Ningyu. She had a graceful figure but wasn't very attractive, with a sallow complexion, as if she suffered long-term malnutrition, and a brown spot on her cheek. Uncle, you've been tricked, a timid voice said. It was the little girl, clutching Ningyu's dress hem, only her head showing, as she shyly spoke up. Mom said, those two are bad people, they often borrow money and don't pay it back, you've been tricked by them. Whoa, you shouldn't talk nonsense, Ningyu scolded. The little girl, upon hearing this, quickly shrank her head back in. Lindao, I'll take my leave. Having said that, without waiting for Lin Jing to respond, she took the little girl back to her own yard. Then, with a bang, the courtyard door closed, leaving Lin Jing there alone. Lin Jing understood that, obviously, she still didn't trust him and was cautious around him, not wanting to interact with him. After that realization, he let it go, since he himself was the same way and didn't like trouble either. Having come to this understanding, he walked towards his own home. Once back inside, Lin Jing took the pill furnace out of his storage bag, ready to start alchemy. First, he studied the pill recipe, familiarized himself with the refining process, and then Lin Jing took out the materials. Let's start with the simplest fasting pill. He processed the materials needed for the fasting pill and then placed them into the furnace in order, followed by starting the fire. The flames rose, and after some time, reactions began to occur inside the pill furnace. Controlling fire technique. Lin Jing was careful, using the controlling fire technique to manipulate the flames, controlling the temperature to ensure it wasn't too fierce. At the same time, his divine sense probed into the furnace to observe the condition of the elixir medicine. However, with the current strength of Lin Jing's divine sense, he couldn't sustain it for long, and soon Lin Jing couldn't hold on and withdrew. After the time it takes an incense stick to burn. Boom, a muffled sound came from within the pill furnace. Did the furnace explode? Lin Jing frowned and went up to check. Upon lifting the furnace lid, Lin Jing looked inside and saw only black fragments, no sign of any elixir medicine. Looking at the body of the furnace, it was intact. That's good, Lin Jing said, relieved. Lin Jing reflected on his alchemy steps just now and then pondered for a moment before he prepared the materials again and continued alchemy. He knew that alchemy was never that easy, and that certainly, he would have to fail a few times at first, so Lin Jing was not discouraged at all. During the next alchemy attempt, having learned from his last lesson, Lin Jing was even more careful in controlling the flames. As expected, with a boom, the second batch of elixir medicine was also declared a failure. Once more. This time Lin Jing didn't pause and immediately started again. Boom. This time, it took a bit longer than the previous 2 attempts. Lin Jing gained some insight, but felt like he was still missing something crucial. Boom. Lin Jing kept refining, But the results were far from satisfactory, with the furnace exploding every time. However, Lin Jing didn't give up and continued with his alchemy. Finally, on the 8th attempt, there was no boom to be heard. Did I succeed this time? Just as joy appeared on Lin Jing's face, a foul smell emanated from inside the furnace. This smell. His eyebrows tightly furrowed, he moved forward to lift the lid, and the foul stench hit him full in the face. Ugh! The intense stink nearly made him vomit last night's dinner. Straight away, Lin Jing ran out of the house, breathing in deep gulps of fresh air. After a long while, when the smell inside the house had mostly dissipated, Lin Jing dared to return inside. Back in the house, Lin Jing first cleaned up the source of the foul smell in the pill furnace, a pool of sticky liquid, and then cleared it out along with the remnants of the previous exploded elixir medicine. At this point, Lin Jing started to ponder. The alchemy technique he got from Steward Li indeed had issues. It was only when he began alchemy himself that Lin Jing realized the technique had many mistakes and even some places were glossed over ambiguously. As a result, he could only repeatedly try and error. It seems that Senior Han is probably not very familiar with this alchemy technique either. Starting with first-rank elixir medicine, it does have a higher failure rate than other techniques. Could it be that I was tricked by Steward Li? Chapter 13 Alchemy Success. Opening the alchemy room. Since it doesn't work here, I'll try again in the system space tonight, where the spiritual energy is rich. Maybe it will be possible. With that thought, Lin Jing first cleaned the three-legged copper furnace and put it away. Then he opened all the windows and doors to air out the smell in the room. He himself took the pill scripture and went out to the yard to continue his studies. It wasn't until the sun hung on the mountaintop and the sky gradually darkened that Lin Jing lifted his head. By the time, smoke was rising from many of the surrounding yards, and the fragrance of various meals began to spread. A distinctive human touch imbued the Fang Market, where cultivators resided. Indeed, cultivators also need to eat. This place was home to low-level individuals of the cultivation world, most of whom only had the cultivation of the early or middle stages of chi refinement. Not yet able to forego food, they normally couldn't afford fasting pills and had to cook for themselves. Moreover, most of the residents here, just like ordinary people, ate very common rice. Because for them, spirit rice was simply too expensive. Of course, there were a few who were in the late stage chi refining, with strong personal cultivation and thus more spirit stones to their names, allowing them to afford spirit rice. For example, Lin Jing's neighbor, the Ning fellow cultivator with a child, she was at the late stage chi refining. Every mealtime, her home would always give off the aroma of steamed spirit rice. Seeing that it was getting late, Lin Jing also prepared to start a fire and cook. Previously, after selling spirit rice, in addition to what he sold to shopkeeper Ching, he still had a few £100 left, enough for Lin Jing to eat until the spirit rice in the system space was ripe again. During this time, Lin Jing had been eating this kind of spirit rice. He wasn't sure if it was his imagination, but Lin Jing felt that the spirit rice he grew himself was sweeter than the others out there. Because of this, Lin Jing even purposely went out to buy some medium-grade spirit rice to compare. Indeed, it was true. No wonder shopkeeper Ching had been so anxious back then to reserve the next year's spirit rice in advance. Starting a fire, cooking, stir-frying, all in one go. Then, in the last light of dusk, Lin Jing enjoyed his dinner. After eating and tidying up, Lin Jing returned to his room to continue perusing the pill scripture. As the night deepened, it soon reached the early hours of the next day. System space time refreshed, time remaining for entry, 4 hours. The system notification sounded again. Lin Jing smiled. Enter the system space. Arriving in the system space, Lin Jing familiarly summoned the panel and checked his information directly. Lin Jing, 23 out of 90, spiritual root, 5 elements mixed spirit root, low grade, cultivation, chi refinement second layer, 8%, cultivation technique, Kinyuan Dao method, level 1, Kinyuan sword control technique, beginner, controlling fire technique, beginner, sub-occupation, none. The sub-occupation column still showed none. Time in the system space was precious, so Lin Jing didn't dare to delay. He took out the three-legged copper furnace from the storage bag, then prepared the materials. Lin Jing took a deep breath to relax. In alchemy, mindset is the most important. Once everything was ready, Lin Jing began to light the fire, then threw the various spiritual materials into the pill furnace and started refining. Bang, as expected, the first furnace exploded again. After some contemplation, Lin Jing continued. The second furnace didn't explode, but the pills were the regular shape and emitted no fragrance. With a pinch, the irregular elixir crumbled, revealing it was all residues inside, clearly a failure. However, this was already much better than the first attempt. After 2 more experiments, he finally caught on to some tricks. Refining pills in the system space seemed to be much more effective than in the outside world. It appears that spiritual energy density is extremely important for alchemy. This point was not mentioned in the pill scripture that Steward Lee provided. Immediately afterward, Lin Jing prepared the materials and began refining the 5th batch of elixir medicine. He still cast the spirit materials into the furnace. This time Lin Jing inserted them in order, and as the flames rose, he hurriedly and carefully controlled the fire to avoid temperatures so high that they would cause an explosion. Meanwhile, his divine sense frequently stretched out to check on the situation inside the pill furnace. Everything proceeded in an orderly fashion. After an incense stick's worth of time, a faint fragrance wafted from the pill furnace. Success. A light flickered in Lin Jing's eyes as his heart thumped rapidly. Taking a deep breath, Lin Jing hurriedly calmed his emotions, to avoid wasting all his previous efforts at the last moment. As time slowly passed, the fragrance from inside the pill furnace grew stronger and stronger. Lin Jing was by now sweating profusely, carefully controlling the flames. However, his eyes shone brightly, his spirit extremely excited. Ding system prompt, congratulations to the host for successfully refining a batch of elixir medicine, unlocking the sub-occupation, Alchemist. Elixir medicine refinement success, alchemy proficiency +3 system prompt. As the host has successfully refined elixir medicine for the first time, you are rewarded with 10 harvest points. System prompt, sub-occupation alchemist identity activated, alchemy room can now be opened. Opening the alchemy room requires 10 harvest points. Would the host like to open it? A series of system prompts left Lin Jing stunned. Alchemy room? What is that? With a belief that anything provided by the system must be of high quality, Lin Jing did not hesitate and immediately chose to open the alchemy room. System, open the alchemy room. System prompt, alchemy room successfully opened. 10 harvest points deducted, remaining balance, 29 harvest points. Immediately following that, a room sprang up next to the spirit field, growing out of the ground as if it were a plant. In just a short while, it had taken shape. By then, the elixir medicine had already been refined. Lin Jing, unmindful of the system's miraculous abilities, quickly extinguished the fire. After waiting a while for the temperature of the furnace to decrease, Lin Jing lifted the lid, and instantly, the fragrance spread out effusively. He reached into the pill furnace to retrieve the elixir medicine. There were 3 pills in this batch, and Lin Jing inspected them closely. The pills were not round or shiny, and even their shapes were somewhat irregular. Clearly, these were 3 low-grade pills. Yet, Lin Jing was still very happy. Amidst his joy, Lin Jing looked up to see the alchemy room standing to one side. Immediately feeling curious, he walked toward the alchemy room, wanting to see what it was like inside. The alchemy room was not large, about the size of a normal house, with black bricks and green tiles, and shaped like a circle. If it were a bit larger, it would resemble a circular palace. Lin Jing pushed the door open and entered. Inside, a large TG8 trigrams diagram covered the entire floor of the alchemy room. Beyond that, nothing else. Just this. Looking at the empty alchemy room, Lin Jing truly did not know what to say. System, what functions does the alchemy room have? The alchemy room panel has been opened for the host. Alchemy room, level 1 divine sense strength increase, 10% alchemy success rate increase, grade 1 10%, elixir medicine quality enhancement, grade 1 10%, chance of producing flawless elixir medicine, grade 1 10%, upgrade requirement, 29 out of 100 harvest points. Upon realizing it increases the chance of successful alchemy, Lin Jing couldn't contain his excitement. Does this mean I'm going to make a fortune in the future? Chapter 14 Returning to Yuba, he soon realized something wasn't right. Pa. Who says I'm getting rich? I almost forgot that this is the cultivation world, where the law of the jungle prevails, and might makes right. What use is having wealth if it just makes you a target for others? I need to consume it myself to enhance my strength. With my talent for cultivation, relying on myself alone, I would probably never break through to the foundation establishment stage in this lifetime. So, I still need to rely on popping pills. No, taking elixirs. Having realized this, Lin Jing didn't hesitate any longer and decided to try it out for himself first. He took a fasting pill and put it in his mouth. The elixir immediately dissolved and went straight down his throat into his stomach. Suddenly, a feeling of fullness spread out, leaving a sweet aftertaste in his mouth. The introduction mentioned that taking one fasting pill could keep you from needing food for at least 3 days, but I wonder how effective the one I refined is? It was time to test the effects. After completing the alchemy, Lin Jing didn't stay in the system space any longer but chose to go out first. Since he had decided to improve his strength by taking elixirs, what was most important now was to get a complete book on alchemy technique. The alchemy technique he was currently studying was terribly unreliable, with a high failure rate. Continuing this way, he feared it wouldn't be long before his resources ran out. It looks like I'll need to take a trip to Yuba tomorrow. The next day, Lin Jing got up only when the sun was already 3 poles high. Perhaps because alchemy had drained so much energy yesterday, he had slept especially deeply last night. Even after such a long sleep, he was still a bit groggy when he woke up. Since he had taken a fasting pill last night, he didn't feel hungry at all now. After getting up and washing up, Lin Jing left the house and went straight to Yuba-Alu. Upon arriving at Yuba-Alu, he was received by a different maid this time. Lin Jing explained his purpose, and the maid led him directly to Elder Yu. Elder Yu. Lin Jing greeted upon seeing Elder Yu. Fellow Taoist is here again today. Are you looking for something else? Elder Yu asked with a smile. Lin Jing came forward and whispered, Elder Yu, do you have any books on alchemy technique here? Elder Yu was taken aback for a moment and then spoke, did our fellow Taoist fail at alchemy yesterday? Every beginner goes through failure, it's entirely normal for beginners, and you shouldn't blame the alchemy technique itself. Besides, alchemy techniques are very rare, usually, you can hardly see them, so I don't have any here. No. Lin Jing was somewhat disappointed. Don't be hasty, my friend. I only said I don't have it here, I didn't say Yuba-Alu doesn't have any. Upon hearing this, Lin Jing's eyes lit up. There's still a chance. Elder Yu continued, Yuba-Alu holds a large trade fair every month, and this fair has all sorts of good items. As long as you have the money, you can buy anything. That includes alchemy techniques as well. 2 years ago, someone even bought a book on alchemy technique at the fair, reportedly for their family's disciples' cultivation. Elder Yu, how many spirit stones did that alchemy technique book sell for? Do you know? Lin Jing asked. Of course, I remember clearly, Elder Yu said. That book on alchemy technique sold for 30,000 spirit stones. The seller was a third-grade alchemist, and it included the alchemist's refining experiences. If that third-grade alchemist hadn't been in urgent need of spirit stones, it couldn't have been sold that cheaply, it would have been priced at least 20 or 30% higher. That person really got a huge bargain. Elder Yu sighed deeply, regretting that he didn't have enough spirit stones at the time to make the purchase himself. Especially for an alchemy experience book from a third-grade alchemist, the temptation was not small for any alchemist. If my friend wants to buy an alchemy book, you'd have to prepare tens of thousands of spirit stones at least. Tens of thousands. Upon hearing this number, Lin Jing's eyes widened in shock, his eyelids twitching uncontrollably. It took a while for Lin Jing to regain his composure. Hee. Lin Jing suddenly felt a bit awkward. I still think my alchemy book is sufficient for now, so I won't change it. Seeing his reaction, Elder Yu realized that Lin Jing did not have that much money. He quickly began to offer guidance. In alchemy technique, the most important thing is one's mindset. As long as the mindset is stable, the success rate will naturally be high. Of course, besides mindset, other factors are also crucial, not just the alchemy technique itself. For example, the cultivator's cultivation level, strength of divine sense, alchemy experience, and control over the flames are all extremely important. Besides these, there are some external factors too, like the pilferness, environment, and spiritual energy, all of which are essential. Thus, an alchemist must first control their mindset, then improve their own abilities and experiences, and finally address the external environmental factors. If you achieve these, the success rate of alchemy will definitely increase significantly. Lastly, if possible, try to find a mentor to guide you. It is often said that hearing a wise man's words is better than reading 10 years of books. Sometimes, a single piece of advice from a teacher can save you many years of research. Elder Yu, I am enlightened, Lin Jing bowed, paying respects to Elder Yu. Elder Yu's words profoundly impacted Lin Jing. Yes, he's just a chi refinement stage level 2 junior cultivator who thinks he's got it all figured out after only a little study. Stuart Lee's alchemy book might have some errors, but the overall direction is correct. I can start with that and gradually gather experience to fill in the gaps. After all, I have the system space, and I won't lack money or have to struggle like other cultivators. So, I should focus on improving myself first and worry about changing the alchemy technique later. Elder Yu quickly helped Lin Jing up. My friend, no need for such formalities, I am merely offering some guidance as a senior to a junior. I am Lin Jing, Elder Yu, you can just call me by my name. To respect one as a master, you are the senior, and I dare not accept the title of friend, Lin Jing humbly said. The term senior directly touched Elder Yu's heart, and he ceased to decline. In that case, I'll call you Little Lin. Little Lin, how many times did you fail at alchemy yesterday? Elder Yu asked with the intention to guide. Elder Yu, after returning home yesterday, I attempted to refine elixirs in 13 furnaces, succeeding in just one. As he spoke, Lin Jing pulled a small porcelain bottle from his pocket and passed it over. However, it's only a low-grade fasting pill. I took one, And the remaining 2 are all here. I didn't expect you to succeed, Elder Yu said in surprise. It's rare for someone to succeed at their first attempt in alchemy. When you came to inquire about the alchemy technique before, I thought you had failed them all. It was pure luck, Lin Jing said. He was aware that without the existence of the system space, he would not have had the possibility of success. Elder Yu, as if seeing Lin Jing for the first time, looked him over carefully. There is no luck in alchemy. Little Lin, your talent in alchemy might not be low. Chapter 15 Flawless Elixir Medicine. Do you know how others practice alchemy when they first start? Lin Jing shook his head. He didn't know any other alchemists and was completely self-taught. Typically, one would refine 2 to 3 furnaces a day, and at most, 4 to 5. After each furnace is refined, they would stop to rest and reflect. Once the reflection is complete and one's condition is fully restored, they would begin refining the next furnace and then continue to summarize their experiences. With the 13 furnaces you refined in a single day, you must have been refining continuously, right? Lin Jing hadn't thought that rest was needed after refining a furnace and answered awkwardly, indeed, it was so. That's why I said your talent for alchemy isn't bad. You were lucky to succeed in your refining under such conditions. Lin Jing was somewhat speechless. It seemed he had indeed benefited from the system's help. However, even if you have higher alchemy talent, you can't afford to be proud. You must still do as I said, improve your own abilities, step by step. I understand, thank you for the instruction, Elder Yu. Lin Jing clasped his hands in gratitude. At this moment, Lin Jing suddenly remembered something. When the system space's alchemy room was activated, there was an increased chance of producing a pure elixir. He hadn't heard of this pure elixir before and didn't know what it was, so he took this opportunity to ask Elder Yu. Elder Yu, I've heard of a type of elixir called a pure elixir. Can you tell me what a pure elixir is? After listening to Lin Jing's question, Elder Yu frowned and said, isn't it recorded in your pill scripture? To Elder Yu, the pill scripture I study does not have this record. It seems, then, that your pill scripture definitely has some omissions. Since that's the case, I'll introduce it to you. Elder Yu began to explain, and Lin Jing quickly perked up his ears to listen carefully. Actually, this starts with the composition of elixir medicines. You should know that all elixir medicines contain impurities, even supreme elixirs are no exception. And these impurities cannot be completely expelled from the body. Over time, prolonged use will result in Dan poison. Moreover, the lower the quality of the elixir, the more impurities it contains, and the more potent the Dan poison will be. Yes, I have read about it in the pill scripture, Lin Jing nodded. Elder Yu continued, prolonged use of elixir medicines leads to Dan poison accumulating in the body, which decreases the effect of the elixirs, eventually rendering them ineffective. What's worse, Dan poison can even affect one's cultivation, making breakthroughs more difficult. To cleanse the Dan poison from the body, one must take a clear accumulation elixir to remove some of the poison. However, the clear accumulation elixir is also an elixir, with limited effects, and it is useless for practitioners beyond the nascent soul stage or those in the stronger divinity transformation stage. But the pure elixir is different. Because the pure elixir, as its name implies, contains no Dan poison at all, allowing for unrestricted consumption and with its effects never diminishing. The pure elixir is so incredible. Lin Jing was shocked. Elder Yu viewed Lin Jing's shock calmly, showing no great reaction. For he had reacted in the same way when he first heard about the pure elixir in his youth. You must understand, the chance of a pure elixir appearing is extremely low, and there is a prerequisite, that is, within a single furnace, there must be at least 2 or more supreme-grade elixirs appearing simultaneously. During the refining process, these 2 supreme-grade elixirs will expel their impurities and fuse together, thus forming a pure elixir. The appearance of 2 supreme-grade elixirs in a single furnace, is this something an ordinary alchemist can achieve? And this is precisely a testament to an alchemist's skills. Alchemists who can refine pure elixirs are respected as honored guests in any power they join, and naturally, their treatment is exceptional. Lin Jing thought to himself, normally, 3 to 6 elixir pills are produced in a furnace. To be able to refine 2 supreme-grade elixirs in the same furnace is indeed not something an ordinary alchemist can do. Moreover, the pure elixir is different from ordinary elixirs. It must be placed into a pure jade box the moment it is produced and kept there until it is used. Otherwise, if it comes into contact with the outside air for too long, the pure elixir will be contaminated, develop Dan poison, and degrade into a supreme-grade elixir. Now you understand. So this is the pure elixir medicine. After expressing his awe, Lin Jing continued to inquire, Elder Yu, you mentioned that the chance of a pure elixir medicine appearing is very low. How low exactly is it? Let's put it this way. There was once a very famous pill master who, in order to refine pure elixir medicine, consecutively refined 100 batches. All of them were his best elixirs, and each batch was guaranteed to produce at least 2 supreme grade ones. But, in the end, only 1 pure elixir medicine emerged. Ah! That's so low. He then remembered the attribute on the alchemy room panel that added 10% to the chance of a pure elixir medicine appearing. That chance, isn't it a slap in the face for that pill master? Elder Yu continued, of course, pure elixir medicine depends entirely on luck, and there is absolutely no pattern to it. One should not deliberately pursue it. Some people may produce one after just a few batches, while others, after refining hundreds, may not produce a single pure elixir medicine. Therefore, pure elixir medicine should not be forced. After listening, Lin Jing continued to inquire, Elder Yu, Yuba-Alu should have pure elixir medicine for sale, right? Of course, Elder Yu said with confidence. And I have refined pure elixir medicine myself. Elder Yu, you. Lin Jing looked at Elder Yu in front of him and gave a salutatory bow. Forgive my ignorance, it turns out that Elder Yu is actually a Grandmaster of Alchemy. Elder Yu waved his hand off, Grandmaster is a bit much, it's just that I've refined many, so I can somewhat guarantee the quality of the elixirs, hence, producing pure elixir medicine eventually is quite normal. Young man, you must know, even amongst pure elixir medicines, the value can differ as much as heaven and earth. For instance, the ones I frequently refine are those that increase cultivation or heal injuries and restore spiritual power. These kinds of elixirs, even if they're pure, the price isn't too outrageous. Basically, they would be about 20 to 30 times the price of an ordinary supreme elixir. But, halfway through, Elder Yu paused, and then spoke with some longing, if one were to refine elixirs that are used for breakthroughs in realms, or to extend lifespan, then the value would be completely different. Especially the pure elixir medicines that extend lifespan, they are not limited by the same kind of elixirs, no matter how many one consumes, the effect won't diminish. Such pure elixir medicines, every time they appear, they provoke countless people to fight over them, causing a bloody storm. Lin Jing's eyes suddenly lit up, his heart racing. With my own alchemy room, if I were to refine lifespan extension pills myself, and the chance of pure elixir medicine appearing increases, doesn't that mean I could rely on pure elixir medicines to extend my lifespan and achieve immortality in the future? And as the system space grows, the spiritual energy will definitely become more concentrated. Wouldn't it be better to transplant some spirit plants that are used for refining lifespan extension pills by then? Thinking this, Lin Jing became even more excited. Subsequently, Lin Jing discussed some more questions with Elder Yu and then left Yuba-Alu. This trip had been very rewarding for him. In the following month, Lin Jing didn't refine as frantically as he did on the first day, but reduced the number of times he performed alchemy each day. However, even if he followed Elder Yu's instructions exactly when refining, his success rate was still not high. In his opinion, this should be because of his pill scripture. But pill scriptures were too expensive, and he couldn't afford them. He could only try to figure it out himself, trying to improve the success rate. That day, Lin Jing made another trip to Yuba-Alu, once again buying some materials needed to refine the fasting pills. Walking back, Lin Jing pondered his future plans. Suddenly, a hubbub up ahead interrupted his thoughts. Whose little girl is this? How can she be here alone? It's too pitiful. Chapter 16. Luo Lin Jing looked up and glanced over in the direction of the sound. He saw a familiar figure. Isn't that the little girl from my neighbor's house? I remember her name should be Luo. How could she be here? At that moment, on the side of the street, Luo stood there helplessly, looking down, her small hands tightly clutching the corners of her clothes. And nearby, a group of people had gathered around. One middle-aged woman stepped forward and asked softly, "Little girl, why are you here by yourself? Where are your family members?" The middle-aged woman's voice was very gentle, as if she was afraid of frightening her. But Luo did not dare to look up and just stood there. Only looking at her white-knuckled hands clutching her clothes revealed that she was becoming more nervous. Seeing this, Lin Jing walked over. "Luo." Lin Jing called out. The little girl, hearing her name called, hurriedly looked up. "Uncle Lin." As the little girl spoke, tears began to stream down her face. Lin Jing quickened his pace towards her, and the crowd that had gathered made way. Approaching the little girl, Lin Jing asked, "Why are you here by yourself? Where is your mother?" "Uncle, I'm lost and can't find my way home. Can you take me home?" Luo sobbed as she spoke, tears flowing down her cheeks. "Of course," Lin Jing said, patting the little girl's head. "There now, don't cry. Uncle will take you home right away." Luo nodded, then slowly stopped her sobbing. At this point, the kind person from before spoke up. "Are you a relative of hers?" "I am her neighbor, the little girl lives next to my home." "Oh. Quickly take her back to her family then." It's good this happened in Fang Market, it would have been terrible if it were outside. The family wasn't careful enough, letting the child wander around outside alone. She's such a cute kid, what would they have done if they lost her? Seeing the middle-aged woman meant well, Lin Jing expressed his gratitude. Thank you, sister. Don't worry, I will take her back to her family now. He then prepared to take Luo back. This time, with a familiar person by her side, she wasn't as nervous. Luo waved her little hands, thanking the middle-aged woman. Thank you, Auntie. Luo won't run away again next time. Good girl, stick with Uncle Lin on your way home. Next time you go out, make sure to have someone accompany you. I'll remember, Auntie. Goodbye. While walking on the road, Lin Jing asked again. Luo, where is your mother? Luo replied, my mother went to help someone with alchemy. How come you're alone on the street? Lin Jing was puzzled. Didn't your mother take you with her? No. The little girl seemed a bit dejected. It wasn't convenient for my mother, so she left me at an inn, saying someone would bring me food. I got really bored at the inn, and I saw many kids playing together on the street, so I followed them. While playing, I somehow ended up here, and then I couldn't see them anymore and got lost trying to find my way back. As she spoke, she seemed to remember the events that had transpired, and tears once again began to fall, pitter-patter on the ground. Uncle, I won't run away again. Don't cry, Luo, Uncle will take you home. Lin Jing didn't have much experience in comforting children and was somewhat at a loss for what to do besides offering verbal reassurance. Just then, a hawker's shout on the street caught Lin Jing's attention. Candied hawthorn sticks. Deliciously sweet and sour candied hawthorn sticks. Lin Jing suddenly had an idea. Luo, would you like some candied hawthorn sticks? Uncle will treat you. The little girl's attention was immediately captured by the vendor selling candied hawthorn sticks, and she forgot about her tears. Luo doesn't want candied hawthorn sticks. Although she said that, the gaze she cast at the candied hawthorns and her bobbing Adam's apple had already betrayed her. Lin Jing smiled. Although it's hard to coax a child, it's easy to deceive one. Then he took Luo by the hand and walked toward the candied hawthorn vendor. Candied hawthorn seller, 2 skewers of candied hawthorns, please. All right. Uncle wants to eat, so we'll each have one. How about you keep Uncle company and we eat together, okay? The little girl looked up at Lin Jing and, seeing his serious face, nodded. Okay. Lin Jing took the candied hawthorns and handed one skewer directly to Luo. The little girl no longer hid her desire and took a bite. It was sour and sweet. Uncle, the candied hawthorns are really tasty, she said. Lin Jing also took a bite and memories immediately flooded his mind. It's still the same taste, unchanged. This must be the taste closest to home. Alone as a foreigner in a strange land. Often, Lin Jing couldn't help but think of the past, wondering what he would be like now if he hadn't traveled through time. Uncle. A voice interrupted his train of thought. Whoa, what's the matter? Uncle, are you missing home too? Lin Jing looked surprised, turning to the little girl. How did Luo know? My mother, when she misses home, she acts just like Uncle does. Lin Jing asked, then why doesn't she go home? The little girl frowned. Every time I ask her, she refuses to say. Maybe she has her own difficulties, Lin Jing said. Then there was silence between them, and he didn't know if the little girl understood. After a long while. Whoa, are the candied hawthorns tasty? Tasty. Then will you accompany Uncle again next time? Okay. Upon returning to the alley, they arrived at Luo's home. The courtyard door was locked. It seemed that Luo's mother had not yet returned. So, Lin Jing took Luo back to his own home first. He told the little girl to play in the courtyard by herself, while Lin Jing picked up the pill scripture to read. His conversation with Elder Yu that day had given him a deeper understanding of the way of alchemy. Time flew by and soon the sun was setting. Cooking smoke had already started rising outside. Lin Jing looked up. Perhaps she was startled today, the little girl was very quiet, playing by herself. And it looked like Luo's mother hadn't returned yet. It's time to cook, Lin Jing said to himself, watching the crimson sunset. Luo, keep playing. Uncle will make dinner for you. Thank you, Uncle. The little girl must have been hungry for a while but was too shy to disturb him. As cooking smoke began to rise, Lin Jing busied himself in the kitchen. It wasn't long before a delicious meal was served on the table. Of course, Lin Jing didn't have such culinary skill. It was his predecessor's, and now that he had inherited everything from his predecessor, it naturally became his. Uncle, the rice at your home is so fragrant, much more than the rice at my home, said the girl. It's fragrant, indeed. Eat more if you like it, Lin Jing said with a smile. This was medium-grade spirit rice. On the outskirts of Fang Market, There likely weren't many families that could afford medium-grade spirit rice. And the little girl continued. The food you make tastes much better than my mother's. Although she is pretty, her cooking isn't tasty at all. Oh, and uncle, my mother is really beautiful, not at all like what you've seen. She also told me not to tell others, the girl confided. Lin Jing was stunned. I didn't expect to hear this secret. Uncle, you mustn't tell my mother, okay? Don't worry, whoa, I definitely won't tell anyone, Lin Jing assured her. Chapter 17, Ning Yu's unreasonable request. Not long after dinner, Luo became sleepy. Lin Jing carried her to bed, tucked her in, and soon, soft snores began to sound. Lin Jing continued to wait in the yard for Luo's mother to return, intending to hand Luo back to her. Her daughter was lost, she must be anxious too. It was deep into the night when Lin Jing finally heard noises from outside. Lin Jing stood up and walked outside. Opening the courtyard door, Lin Jing saw Luo's mother looking distraught, as if her spirit were drained, slowly shuffling her feet forward. Ningdao. Lin Jing called out. However, she seemed not to hear and continued walking forward. Ningdao. Lin Jing called again, this time with a louder voice. At this point, Luo's mother finally reacted. She turned around, her eyes dull, devoid of any light, and said blankly, I'm not in the mood right now, do not disturb me. Having said that, she turned back and walked toward her own home. Ningdao, Luo is currently resting at my home. I kindly ask you to take her back. What did you say? Luo's mother's voice suddenly raised, and then she appeared right in front of Lin Jing, her expression agitated, staring intently at him. Today, I encountered the lost Luo on the street, so I brought her back home. She is now sleeping in my house. Before he could finish speaking, Luo's mother had disappeared, appearing in her own courtyard. This speed, even a Godspeed talisman can't compare. Lin Jing felt a bit embarrassed, touched the tip of his nose, and walked back to his own house. Entering the house, he saw Luo's mother, her eyes moist, tenderly touching Luo's small face. Lin Jing did not disturb them and just quietly watched. After a long while, she finally came to her senses and came over to Lin Jing, bowing. Ningyu thanks Dao for helping my daughter. Lin Jing responded, Ningdao is too polite. It was just a small effort, not worth mentioning. Ningyu shook her head. Now, there are only the two of us, me and Luo. Her life is my life. Dao's great kindness, Ningyu will definitely repay. We are neighbors, it was a small effort. Since it's late, you should take Luo home to rest soon. Reminded by Lin Jing, Ningyu seemed to snap back to reality. She was in a strange man's home. Thinking this, her cheeks turned slightly red. Dao, sorry for the disturbance, tomorrow I will bring Luo to thank you. After saying this, she gently picked up the sleeping Luo. Then she walked towards the outside, and when she reached the door, Ningyu turned around, bowed deeply to Lin Jing, and then turned and disappeared into the night. After Ningyu left, Lin Jing closed the courtyard door and then returned to his room. Enter system space. Earlier, Lin Jing had set the alert range of system space to cover his courtyard so he could detect anyone entering. So, he could enter system space without worry. Inside system space, Lin Jing didn't plan to cultivate for the time being. The alchemy room was already open, he hadn't tried it yet, so this time, he intended to experiment with the alchemy room. With his 5 elements mixed spirit root, advancing his cultivation was undoubtedly much harder than others. Just like now. With such excellent conditions and dense spiritual energy in system space, he had cultivated for over 3 months. 3 months. His cultivation had only increased by 8%. He definitely needed to consume elixir medicine. Otherwise, when would he ever advance? Of course, if there were an elixir medicine that could change spiritual roots, that would be even better. Lin Jing couldn't help but fantasize. Upon entering the alchemy room, Lin Jing calmed his emotions. Then, he prepared all the materials needed for alchemy. He began refining. Time flew by. Bang! An explosion rang through the entire alchemy room. As expected, Lin Jing had failed again. This time, he didn't rush to begin a second batch, but rather bowed his head in thought about the process he had just undergone. Just like that, until an hour later, his spiritual power was restored and his divine sense was fully recovered. Lin Jing then started on the second batch of elixir medicine. This time, his luck seemed much better. He was successful. Upon opening the lid, there were still 3 fasting pills, all of low grade. And his proficiency in the alchemy technique had increased by 3 points. This might also be a good sign. Next, he took a break, preparing for the third batch. However, the third batch was still less than satisfactory. It ended in an explosion again. Fortunately, Lin Jing's 3-legged copper furnace was sturdy enough to withstand many explosions and was still intact. After 3 rounds of alchemy, Lin Jing left the system space. The following day Ning Yu came to express her gratitude, bringing Luo with her. Uncle. As soon as Luo arrived, she ran over and grabbed Lin Jing's hand, swinging it back and forth. Perhaps due to the events of the previous day, she was quite fond of Lin Jing. Ning Yu bowed her head, looked at Luo, and spoke. Luo, you play here for a while. I need to discuss something with your Uncle Lin in the house. Remember, you must not run around everywhere again, okay? On hearing this, Luo said, Mother, don't worry. This time I'll stay right here in the courtyard and won't go anywhere else. Lin Jing was somewhat puzzled, wondering what could be the matter that it needed to be kept from Luo. Afterward, the two of them went inside the house, and Ning Yu got straight to the point. Lin Yu, you have been studying the alchemy technique recently. Having frequently refined elixirs in his room lately himself, Ning Yu, being an alchemist, could certainly not be kept unaware. I won't deceive you, Ning Yu, I indeed have been studying the alchemy technique, Lin Jing replied. The path of refining elixirs is fraught with immense difficulties, especially for beginners who often miss the essence, leading to many detours and resulting in failure in 9 out of 10 attempts. But if there's someone to guide, it would certainly make up for countless efforts. You must be aware of that. Of course, I know that, Lin Jing nodded, remembering a conversation he had once had with Elder Yu. How about I teach you the alchemy technique? I am now a 2nd-grade alchemist, and with my guidance, you can avoid many pitfalls. Are you serious? Lin Jing asked, his heart skipping a beat, his eyes focused intently on Ning Yu. Alchemists often hold themselves in high regard, only ever teaching their own disciples, reluctant to instruct others. Moreover, the art of alchemy isn't something that can be just shown and taught. Effectively teaching someone requires a significant amount of effort. Seeing that her expression was serious and her gaze earnest, she did not seem to be joking. To think such a good opportunity could come my way? Lin Jing found it hard to believe. Is it because I helped Luo? Lin Jing asked. That's part of the reason. Apart from that, I have another somewhat inappropriate request, said Ning Yu, her face flushing a shade of red. She felt a bit embarrassed, sensing she might be trying to reap the benefits of her bestowed favor. I knew it. How could something as good as pie fall from the sky for no reason? Lin Jing mused internally. Please speak, Ning Yu. It's like this, I need to go to someone else's residence during the day to assist in refining elixirs, and I will only return at night, so, I would like to ask Lin Yu to look after Luo during the day. Knowing what happened yesterday, I really cannot rest easy leaving Luo alone in the inn. After saying this, Ning Yu looked at Lin Jing, her eyes filled with hope, awaiting his response. And here I thought it was something major, just this. It's a minor matter, no problem at all. Chapter 18 Wei Zhenking many thanks, Lin Yu. Ning Yu bowed slightly in a respectful salute. There's no need for such courtesy, Ning Yu. Lin Jing wanted to reach out to help her up but suddenly remembered the propriety between men and women and stopped his hand in midair. Then he quickly came to his senses. Ning Yu, I also have a favor to ask of you. Ning Yu stood up and replied, please speak, Yu. Lin Jing took out the alchemy scripture he had gotten from Steward Li and handed it to Ning Yu, saying, Ning Yu, I acquired this pill scripture unintentionally, but during the process of refining elixir medicine, I found many mistakes and omissions in it. Could you please take a look and see if this pill scripture can still be practiced? Is this the pill scripture you are currently studying? Ning Yu took the scripture but did not open it to browse through. Yes, Lin Jing replied. A pill scripture is the very foundation that an alchemist relies on. You trust me so much? Ning Yu looked seriously at Lin Jing. Of course, since Ning Yu has decided to teach me alchemy technique, why should I cling to this incomplete pill scripture? Upon hearing this, Ning Yu realized it made sense and without saying more, she started to flip through the pill scripture. As she flipped the pages faster and faster, her frown deepened as well. In just the time it took to brew a pot of tea, she had finished looking through it. Lin Yu, Ning Yu said, her brows still furrowed. Please speak, Ning Yu, can this pill scripture still be practiced? Lin Jing watched Ning Yu, waiting for her reply. I just glanced through it briefly, and the mistakes in this pill scripture you have are too numerous to count. Yu's rate of failure in alchemy must not be low, I presume. Lin Jing nodded and said, just as Ning Yu stated, my rate of failure in alchemy is indeed quite high, with a success rate of even less than 10%. In that case, Yu should refrain from refining for now. When I have some spare time, I will help you correct this pill scripture. After you study the new one, you can start refining again. Thank you so much, Ning Yu. He had been worrying about the pill scripture, and Ning Yu offered to correct it for him, which was exactly what Lin Jing desired. How could he possibly refuse? Thus, Lin Jing quickly expressed his gratitude. Afterward, the two left the house. Luo saw them coming out and hurriedly greeted them. "Mother, Uncle Lin." Ningyu walked forward, then crouched down to straighten Luo's clothes, then patted Luo's head and said, "Luo, Mother will be busy for a while. During the day, I'll leave you in Uncle Lin's care, is that alright?" Luo first looked at Ningyu, then turned to look at Lin Jing, who was smiling. "Okay. I know Mother is busy, and I'll be very well behaved with Uncle Lin. I definitely won't cause any more trouble for Mother." Luo's understanding almost brought tears to Ningyu's eyes. But if she stopped refining for others, what could she and her daughter rely on for a living? Ningyu stood up and took out a stack of books from her storage bag, handing them to Lin Jing. "Lin Deu, these books are ones I've collected myself. They include compendiums of spirit grass and demonic beasts, along with various secrets and anecdotes. Luo loves reading these books. She gets so engrossed that she won't bother you. There are also some personal notes on my alchemy insights that you can read in the meantime. When I get the chance, I'll help you mend the pill scripture." Alchemy insights? Aren't personal insights on alchemy incredibly precious to every alchemist? She actually brought out her alchemy insights. It seemed Ningyu truly intended to teach him. Afterward, Ningyu departed. Only Lin Jing and Luo remained in the courtyard. "Now that I can't refine pills, it's impossible to cultivate in a place where the spiritual energy is so sparse." "Luo. What is it, uncle?" Luo looked up at Lin Jing with her little face raised. "Do you want to go out and play?" Lin Jing rubbed her little head. "I do." It seemed she thought of yesterday's event, and Luo hesitated. "But I can't make Mother worry." "It's okay, follow Uncle, with me to protect you. Naturally, there is nothing to fear. Once we're on the street, I'll also buy you candied haws. How does that sound?" Speaking of which, despite having been here for so long, aside from the time spent understanding the business alliance, I haven't really had a good wander around Fang Market yet. With nothing pressing at the moment, it's the perfect opportunity to go out and truly experience the customs of this otherworldly place. "Good." Luo happily agreed. After all, children are naturally lively and aren't fond of staying in one spot for long. The two of them left the house, and just as they exited the courtyard, they saw the gate of the neighbor's home on the other side flung wide open. Luo ran over with a thump thump thump. "Uncle Wei." Lin Jing quickly followed. Upon reaching the courtyard gate, the little girl peeked inside. "Uncle Wei, are you home?" A moment later, a young man dressed in black emerged. He had a cold gaze and a frosty expression, which made him look rather difficult to communicate with. Seeing this man come out, Luo stepped forward and said, "Uncle Wei, it's been so long since I've seen you, where have you been lately?" Uncle Wei had some matters to attend to and left for a while. The man in black looked at Luo, his icy gaze softening slightly. Then, lifting his head to look at Lin Jing, his chilly gaze sharpened again, as though sizing up prey. "Uncle Wei, this is Uncle Lin, he's moved here a while back. Why are you with him?" the man in black asked, looking at Luo. "Mother has been quite busy lately, so she's temporarily entrusted me to Uncle Lin's care," Luo explained. "Uncle Lin is a really nice person, he even saved Luo yesterday." "Uncle Wei, you don't know, yesterday when I was in the inn." The little girl recounted everything that had happened the previous day to the man in black. After listening to her, the man in black looked at Lin Jing again, the coldness in his eyes slightly diminished. "Wei Zhenking, a friend of Luo's father." The man in black introduced himself, clearly having accepted the person in front of him. Lin Jing. Wei Zhenking nodded. "Uncle Wei, we're going to wander around Fang Market, do you want to come with us?" Wei Zhenking shook his head and said to Luo, "Uncle Wei still has things to do, you go ahead and enjoy the market, but remember not to stay out too late. You mustn't worry your mother." Luo remembers, "I definitely won't make Mother worry." Then, Wei Zhenking said to Lin Jing, "Brother Lin, it's fine to roam within Fang Market, but don't go beyond it. The demonic beasts have been increasingly unruly lately, and some have even started attacking the edges of the market." "The demonic beasts are still rampaging?" Lin Jing said in surprise, as he had heard about the demonic beasts' rampage when he first moved here, and he had thought the peace lately meant it was over. "Not yet, the market has started to dispatch more patrols for now, so the problem isn't too serious. The rampage has gone on longer than usual this time, but I guess it will settle down after a while." Although Wei Zhenking said this, he was not certain himself. The ongoing rampage of the demonic beasts was indeed peculiar. Since Wei Zhenking had other business, the two didn't stay long and soon left. Walking on the street, there was still a bustle of people. Calls from vendors never ceased, and the crowd seemed unaware, or perhaps accustomed, to the threat of demonic beasts. After all, Fang Market is situated right next to the Night Mist mountain range. Chapter 19, Encounter with Zhongsen in Night Mist Mountain Range was extremely famous. It was known for its abundant resources. It was said that a random spirit grass from deep within a Night Mist Mountain Range could be sold for tens of thousands of spirit stones. Although there were many demonic beasts inside, that still couldn't deter people's desires to get rich overnight. Most people were still aware of their limitations. Was it that easy to enter the depths of the Night Mist Mountain Range? Of course, many adventurers opted to roam around the periphery of the Night Mist Mountain Range. Occasionally, they would pick some spirit grass or hunt demonic beasts to sell their inner cores, and they could live quite comfortably. If it weren't for the proximity to the resource-rich Night Mist Mountain Range, Nanshan Market wouldn't be this large in scale. Thus, the frequent beast tides in the Night Mist Mountain Range were taken as commonplace by the people. After all, the Night Mist Mountain Range was vast, with herds of demonic beasts inside. It was only natural for groups of them to emerge in search of food from time to time, and the occurrence of beast tides was to be expected. On average, Nanshan Market would encounter a beast tide every few years, and they had grown accustomed to it. This time, it wasn't long before they ran into that candied hawthorn seller from last time. Thus, each of them with a skewer in hand, strolled down the street. They roamed around until noon when Linjing and Luo found a restaurant to have lunch together. Afterward, they wandered aimlessly and both felt it was uninteresting, so they decided to head home. As they walked, Linjing heard some familiar voices. "My luck today is just awful, I lost everything. Big brother, you really shouldn't have bet on that last round. What's the use of saying that now? Why didn't you advise me then?" Ah. Followed by a heavy sigh. The speakers turned out to be Zhongsen and Zhonglin, the two brothers. Listening to them, they must have gone gambling. Linjing frowned. He had a decent impression of Zhongsen before but hadn't expected him to be gambling. If so, what Luo said before might very well be true. At that moment, Zhongsen also spotted them, his eyes brightening as he walked towards them. "Brother Lin." Zhongsen started calling out to Linjing from a distance. Upon hearing the voice, Luo frowned and quickly hid behind Linjing, trying to avoid the person she disliked. Unfortunately, Zhongsen had already seen her. "Luo is here too, how come you don't greet your uncle?" However, the little girl ignored him. Zhongsen didn't seem to mind. "Brother Lin, when did Luo get so close to you? It seems the neighborly relations between your two families have improved quite a bit lately." As he spoke, he winked at Linjing, the implication clear. "Brother Zhong, you're thinking too much. Ningyu is temporarily occupied, and I am merely looking after Luo on her behalf." I see. For Ningyu to trust you with Luo's care shows that your relationship has become quite extraordinary." Zhongsen continued, but it seemed he misunderstood Linjing's words. "Ningyu may not be very attractive but is diligent and a fine woman. Brother Lin, when you have your wedding feast, let me know, and I'll definitely come to congratulate you." "You bad man, you're talking nonsense." Luo, hiding behind Linjing, now stepped out, her face flushed as she refuted his words. She was obviously angered, knowing what a wedding feast entailed. All right. I am a bad man, I spoke nonsense, don't be mad, Luo." Seeing Luo getting angry, Zhongsen quickly tried to appease her. He dared not upset this little miss. If he angered her and she went back to complain to Ningyu, he would suffer consequences. "Brother Zhong, if there's nothing else, we'll be heading back." Linjing was clearly somewhat displeased. But Zhongsen seemed not to have heard. "Brother Lin, it's an emergency. Could you lend me a few more spirit stones? Give me a few days, and I will return those I borrowed last time." He had promised to return them within a few days last time, yet he still hadn't paid them back, and now he was asking for more. Linjing was very displeased and frowned as he said, "Brother Zhong, sorry, I'm not very flush right now, I don't have any spirit stones to lend you." "Is that so?" Zhongsen scratched his head. "Alright then. Sorry to bother you, Brother Lin, we'll think of something else." Zhongsen didn't persist further, especially since he had yet to return the spirit stones he had borrowed previously. "Brother Lin, I'll take my leave." Having said that, he left with Zhonglin. "Big brother, I heard that the demonic beasts are rampaging lately, and from time to time, one wanders close to the Fang Market. How about we go hunt some? They're worth a lot. If we can take down just one, we won't have worries anymore. Hunting demonic beasts. Let me think about it." As they talked, they gradually walked away, but Linjing no longer paid attention to the two of them. "Let's go, let's head home." Linjing took Luo's hand. "Humphrey." Luo huffed as she watched the two brothers walk away, obviously still upset. When they got home, Linjing gave Luo a book to read while he picked up Ningyu's alchemy techniques and started reading. It was now October, deep into autumn, and the weather was just right. The two of them didn't even enter the house, they sat in the yard, under the shade of trees, at a stone table, one big, one small, each flipping through a book. The autumn wind was bleak, yet it didn't affect them in the slightest. Sometimes, time seemed to be stolen away. When Lin Jing looked up again, it was time to cook. Seeing Luo, who had unknowingly fallen asleep on the table, Lin Jing couldn't help but laugh silently. He then picked her up, laid her on the bed inside the house, and started to make a fire for cooking. No sooner had he finished cooking than Luo, eyes still groggy, walked out. "Uncle, is the food ready?" This little foodie had woken up without her knowing, but seeing her still groggy eyes, it must have been just recently. "Luo, you're awake. Come on, wash your face and get ready to eat." "Okay." Just at that moment, there was a loud knock at the door. "Ning friend." Lin Jing opened the door, and it turned out to be Ning Yu. "You're back just in time, I've just finished cooking. Come, eat with us." "Mom," Luo ran over and flung herself into Ning Yu's arms. "Did you fall asleep here again?" Seeing Luo's groggy little face, Ning Yu sternly scolded. "I was reading this afternoon and somehow fell asleep." "Mom, Uncle Lin has already made the meal, let's eat here together." "That wouldn't be right, how can we impose on your Uncle Lin anymore? Let's go home now, and I'll cook for you." Luo's face immediately fell. Ever since she had tasted the food Lin Jing made, thinking about her own mother's cooking, she decided, no matter what, she had to keep her mother here. "Mom." Luo cooed, tugging at Ning Yu's hand. "The food Uncle Lin makes is really delicious, you'll see if you try it." Ning friend, Luo didn't eat much at noon and is probably quite hungry by now. "If you go back to cook now, who knows how long it will take, besides, when I was cooking, I made enough for you too. Didn't you say you wanted to teach me the alchemy technique? We can talk about it while we eat. Otherwise, we'll have wasted so much time. By the time I learn, who knows when it will be." "Yes, Mom, look, I'm starving," Luo said, patting her stomach. Ning Yu didn't want to bother Lin Jing too much, especially since asking him to look after Luo had already been hard to express, but seeing the situation, Ning Yu sighed and agreed. "Alright then. Chapter 20 Pill Scripture Repair completed. You two take a seat, I'll go and bring out the dishes," Lin Jing said, as he headed toward the kitchen, and soon came out carrying the meals. Following that, the three of them gathered around the stone table and took their seats. Lin Jing served the rice, and Luo considerately placed the first bowl in front of Ning Yu. "Mother, here." Ning Yu smiled and took the bowl. "Mother, the food Uncle Lin makes is really delicious, you should try it." "Alright." Ning Yu nodded, picked up a piece of green vegetable with her hand, and placed it in her mouth. Immediately, the delicious taste flooded her entire mouth, her eyes brightened as she picked up a piece of egg, smooth and tender, still unbeatably fresh. "Mother, what do you think? Uncle Lin's cooking is so much better than yours, isn't it?" Luo accidentally blurted out her inner thoughts. After realizing what she had said, she quickly covered her mouth and then buried her head in her bowl. Ning Yu gave her a glare. However, she did not say anything. It was obvious that her cooking skills were worlds apart from Lin Jing's. She was self-aware and naturally wouldn't blame Luo. "Lin Deu, I didn't expect your culinary skills to be this excellent." During the meal, Ning Yu started to compliment. "My mother passed away when I was very young, and my father was busy all the time, so that's how I developed these cooking skills." Ning Yu had not expected to touch upon Lin Jing's family history and hastily apologized. "I'm sorry, Lin Deu. It's fine, that's all in the past." Silence followed. "Ning Deu, why did you go to someone else's residence to refine pills?" In an attempt to break the silence, Lin Jing spoke first. "That household is quite special, they plant their own spirit grass and also to deal with the recent beast tide, so they thought of harvesting all the spirit grass in their home to refine into elixir medicine. And they didn't want to collaborate with other forces and share the profits. Thus, they recruited alchemists externally to come to their home to refine spirit grass into elixir medicine." "I see," Lin Jing responded. "Deu, I have read your elixir scripture today in my spare time and made some revisions, but due to time constraints, I haven't made many changes. I estimate that to revise the entire thing will take more than half a month." "Ning Deu has worked hard," Lin Jing said gratefully. "Mother, are you going to teach Uncle Lin alchemy? Didn't you say grandfather's alchemy shouldn't be taught to just anyone?" Ning Yu heard this and glared at Luo. "Eat your meal and don't interrupt the adults." "Oh." Under Ning Yu's authority, Luo lowered her head and hastily shoveled food into her mouth, as if to vent her dissatisfaction onto the meal. Afterward, Ning Yu and Lin Jing started to talk about refining pills again. The sun set beneath the trees, with two adults and a child sitting at the table having dinner. To anyone unaware, They would certainly be envious of this seemingly happy family. Perhaps because Lin Jing's cooking was so delicious, Ningyu ate 2 more bowls than she usually did today. After the meal, as the sky darkened, Ningyu didn't leave but started to explain the art of alchemy to Lin Jing. Luo was beside them initially but soon got bored and ran off to count the stars. The two talked until it was nearly Z time. Luo was so sleepy she could hardly keep her eyes open, and the two finally went back. After they had left, Lin Jing also did not go to the system space. The system space was different from the outside world. Spirit rice and 7-star grass inside did not require his attention at all. And now, Ningyu was helping him repair the elixir scripture. As for alchemy, that would have to wait until after the elixir scripture was fixed. Thus, there was absolutely no need to waste the entry time into the system space. He could simply accumulate the time first. The following days were all like this. In the mornings, Ningyu would bring Luo over and then go to practice alchemy. At night, she would come back to explain alchemy knowledge to Lin Jing, always leaving late into the night. And the repair of the elixir scripture was also nearing completion. Lin Jing and Luo spent most of their time at home. Of course, they would occasionally go out for a stroll. During this time, he had only seen Wei Zhenking twice. Wei seemed to be quite busy as well, often going out. As for the Zhang family brothers, who knew what they were up to these days, as they were frequently seen leaving the house. Although they had seen each other a few times, it was just a brief greeting before the two excused themselves with other matters and never brought up repaying the spirit stones. But, it was just 5 spirit stones. Lin Jing didn't care. If it had been a few months ago, TSK. 5 spirit stones, unthinkable. People really do change. Aside from them, Ningyu had been having meals at Lin Jing's place daily during this period and her figure had noticeably filled out a bit, giving her a more charming appearance. However, Ningyu said that she should be able to finish repairing the elixir scripture by tomorrow, and he had already accumulated 70 hours in his system space. Next, he was just waiting for the elixir scripture to be repaired. That day, Ningyu returned with good news. The elixir scripture was finally repaired. At the dining table, Ningyu passed the mended elixir scripture to Lin Jing. I've modified some of the content for you, then filled in some missing parts. It should be fine now. If you encounter any problems on your alchemy journey, let me know in time, and I'll help you find answers. Alright, Lin Jing replied. They returned quite early today. After the explanations over the past half-month, there wasn't much left to talk about. The most crucial aspect of alchemy is still experimentation. Only through constant experimentation can one gradually correct mistakes. That night, Lin Jing was alone, flipping through the newly repaired elixir scripture. Parts that were previously unclear now became crystal clear. Even some of his own previous thoughts were mentioned. That night, he still did not practice alchemy but went to bed early instead. He needed to reread the elixir scripture and understand the content. Perhaps it was due to having listened to Ningyu's explanations. In just 3 days, Lin Jing had memorized all of the content of the elixir scripture and reached a point of complete understanding. Only on this night did Lin Jing re-enter the system space. Upon arriving at the alchemy room, Lin Jing prepared the materials and began his first attempt at refining. Starting the fire, adding the spirit grass in batches, he then covered the pill furnace. Lin Jing's movements were fluid, completing the process in one smooth action. Then he carefully controlled the flames. Until half an hour had passed, the fragrance filled the air. Lin Jing was sure that the pill would be a success. Indeed, it wasn't long before the system prompt appeared. Pill refining successful, alchemy proficiency +6. Lifting the furnace lid, he took out the elixir medicine. Lin Jing examined it in his hand. A medium-grade fasting pill, it looked rounder than before. Indeed, there had indeed been significant issues with the elixir scripture before. Now, after the repair, on his first refining attempt, he'd created a medium-grade elixir medicine, and there were 3 of them. Then, achieving a flawless elixir might just be around the corner.